Oh, baby. We're on.
We're live. We are live. We're back. It's been a few weeks.
It's been a long time, but these are two chunky books with a lot to go through, so it needed this amount of time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, based off the notes that you have, I'm really excited to kind of dive into those. And
Two elephants in the room. We got the notes lined up and ready to go for this one, and we do have the matching shirts. We have to address.
yeah, it's the first episode were maybe hard to see here in the backdrop, but Stephen Paul versus the World set up kind of just could not be more excited.
These are the things that coming to a book club meeting in person has its benefits, and everyone who came today got a T-shirt.
And anyone that didn't did not.
Exactly. So these we actually people thought we planned our matching outfits in the last episode.
Were we matching?
We were, but I didn't even realize until someone had said it. And just the fact that someone noticed and was looking,
Yeah.
I was like, that's a win.
And people are going to tune into book club for different reasons. People are just going to check the outfits and log right back out. And we're fine with that as well.
I'm totally fine.
And they're going to be excited today when they see the matching T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been excited about that. So I do have. We'll do a quick attendance before we'll jump right into these, maybe.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
Let me mark you as here real quick.
Present.
Paul here. Anyone else? Not here.
Now, part of me, like, one, anytime we can't get a guest, I think we gotta continue to give Carl credit. That he, to date, is the only one. I did lightly recruit Jake for this one. He was talking about being a guest, and I was like, great, we actually have a great book for you because he's got a back problem.
I told him at the gym.
Yes, and I was like, yeah, like, just, crooked, listen to it while you're at the gym, and then, we'll plan some after that. And then he was kind of like,
he was like, what is USC reading? Like Jagged or something? And I was like, crooked?
Yeah.
But he said he would be down for the next one.
Yeah. So. He also told me he didn't have the time to read, and attend the meeting. So we'll see. We're gonna keep him in mind.
Keep him in the loop. I mean, I would love to have him.
Yeah.
If he was ever like, I'm coming,
even if he didn't read it, yeah. Like we could talk to him about Crooked and Fauci and COVID. Like he could have been here.
Someone who has back pain, which he has, he actually would have been a good guest.
Totally.
To like cross check some things on.
Totally.
But we have first. Let's get into the books.
Yeah.
Let's get into the brass tacks.
Get right into it. People have been complaining about our 3.5 podcast might be a little bit too lengthy. The amount of like meat that we're putting into these things. But
I think the meat is what is the good part. But if you ever are listening, you can probably skip to the 30-minute mark, and that's what we'll do. You start talking about the books,
and then turn it off at the 45. Because everything totally go off tangent.
Everything you need there. Book number 1,
Crooked.
Full title, Crooked, Outwitting the Back Pain Industry and Getting on the Road to Recovery by Catherine Jacobson Rahman. So why we picked this book?
Yeah.
It was, for those who remember Luigi Mangione, he was the guy who shot this United Healthcare CEO, and when they were looking into it, when they found out it was him, I guess his like Goodreads profile got released.
They were just like trying to find out anything they could about him, and like that was one of the things that they found right away was Goodreads. And
so his Goodreads gets published.
Yeah,
this book was on there, so we added it to our list.
I think he gave it a 5-star. I think it was one of his only 5-star books.
I mean, it's a crazy world we live in where some guy shoots some guy, and his list of books gets out. The whole world doesn't make any sense. So that's like a thing.
It's crazy, and I think like I was interested just from that standpoint of like that was kind of the whole thing that was coming out, but it was coming out very slowly. Was that he was, I guess, like having bad back pain and maybe had a surgery or two, or was trying to get help for his back and kind of couldn't. That was like maybe the reason for this, which is a little bit interesting.
Right, I think he got kind of caught up in the world that we'll talk about a bit of back pain and all the crazy treatments and surgeries that happen and the problems with insurance.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get like stuck in this weird world, and it can clearly be frustrating for anyone. So I think, that plus whatever else he was going through probably led him to shoot this guy.
Yeah.
Should we do high level? Before I did have one discussion topic.
Yeah.
Before getting into the books, Luigi Mangione was like the reason behind it. So I just wrote for discussion: shooting people, good or bad?
I mean, that's something I feel like we'll break down as we kind of go through it. I feel like
Right.
you got to get all the facts first before we can make a statement on that.
Okay, I see.
But
I see. I see.
I would say this was surprisingly not that unlike a lot of the vaccine and pharma industry books that we've read to date.
It's our sweet spot.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit different.
Same. I opened this book and I was like, "Oh, this is just a book about back pain."
Yeah,
And I was so nervous. I was like, "This might not be interesting at all."
yeah,
But I think it surprised me with how good it was.
yeah. I enjoyed it, and I kind of enjoyed like so the first half wasn't so much about back pain, right? It was like talking about how people had back pain, but it was like talking about all the different fixes for the back pain. And the second half was more of like personal journey to fixing it, right?
Yeah, it almost seemed like the first half was like common treatments for back pain
Yeah.
that are crap,
Yeah.
according to her. And then the second half is like actual good ways to deal with back pain and what she tried and ended up finding some success with.
Yeah.
And this was a person, some lady who sounded like she was in her 50s maybe,
Yeah.
and was dealing with a lot of back pain and was kind of seeing firsthand all the things that we'll get into that can happen in the back pain world, which I didn't even know existed.
And there was a lot of like interesting things, but I think we could almost like summarize most of it just by like the current treatments that we have for back pain are utter crap. Like fusion surgeries just don't work. Um, Taking painkillers is like, not a good coping strategy. It's just a matter of time till you're addicted and can't do anything.
She said
Chiropractic, she says, is a scam.
for opioids, and maybe we'll get into each thing.
Yeah,
1 in 500 people who get an opioid prescription were, at the time she wrote this, were dead in 2.5 years. It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard.
yeah,
That's like a very significant number of people, or within 2.5 years is so short for people to just be getting this prescription and flat out dying. Like,
yeah.
and it's just like,
I know. And like for something that's supposed to be fixing something else.
right? They call it like pain management, but like you're just killing yourself.
Yeah, I put that in here as well. Like I said, taking opioids as treatment was like fairly intertwined into this book, like with the Sackler.
She mentioned the Sacklers a bunch. They got a nice shout out.
Yeah, talked about how um, there was only like a few doctors that were like that concerned about using opioids to treat back pain. Like that, I feel like was a little bit shocking that she was like there was like a few doctors that spoke out, but the vast majority did.
Right.
So either like some were like, oh, it's a great way to profit, and they were writing them like Skittles, like prescriptions for opioids, like as much as they could because they were making so much money off of it. Others, I think, just kind of stayed away from it, kept it in their back pocket for like, if someone gets their wisdom teeth out or actually needs it for a week, they'll write them a script. But there's only a few that like openly were like, this is a really bad idea, which is crazy.
So that's like what's insane to me, and what I was so shocked about is that like like vaccines are like very controversial, and some people like feel strongly one way or the other. But like the back, like this is completely different. Like this is back pain. Like, but there were so many similarities in that, and at a certain point, like so in this case with opioids and back pain, like doctors just kind of get told that this is a good thing to give people. They don't think or question it really, most of them,
No.
and they just give it to people. And there's all these bad side effects and consequences, and it never changes. Like at a certain point, when does the responsibility kind of come onto these doctors who are like, we'll get into some of these treatments and stuff, and with the opioids, like, at what point is there like responsibility for what you are doing?
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, but say you're following your protocol, but like, you have to think through what you're giving to people, what you're telling people, because they're like,
Well, there's no regulating agency. The doctors aren't regulating, the pharmaceutical companies aren't regulating, the, you know, FDA isn't regulating, we know that.
The regulating agencies are directly financially incentivized
Yeah,
to
yeah.
not regulate well.
And then it's like they're so well protected that it's like they don't even have to worry about like getting sued or going to jail. And like that I think is, just crazy that it's like with the back pain industry, it's like they're not signing anything saying like we're gonna take away your pain and we're gonna fix you. They're like, hey, like that was kind of the whole message in the book was a lot of the doctors were almost like impartial to the point where they were like, hey, if you want an operation, we can try one.
Right.
And it's just like what? Like that's a like a life changing.
The range was like best case scenario was like they didn't really know, but they were following protocol and would do something that might be harmful to you without telling you. And the worst side of that spectrum is they know it's harmful for you and they're going to do it anyway because they get paid
Yes, and there was
per surgery, per MRI, per
yeah,
whatever these things are.
and there was a couple of doctors she talks about in the book, like this dude Sabat, had his license revoked in California.
Right, like very few. There are examples of very few of ones that actually get in trouble, which
Yeah,
is good. That eventually they do, but it's like
but it's still like he once he got his license revoked, he just moved to Michigan and then did it all again.
started doing something
And
else.
then
Yeah,
he
it's
finally
like
was arrested by like the feds, but it's like he had already profited $11 million.
right, and he probably got like a slap on the wrist
Yeah.
compared to like
Probably had his license taken and probably served like 2 years in a cushy jail.
right, and
And
then
then
it's
kept
like
$10 million.
right, and then you're retired for life,
Yeah.
and you're good, and you've like wreaked havoc and destruction on like countless people's lives, and have no regret. Like I just don't get how these people sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like I get you have to be like cold hearted to be a doctor, and there are a lot of good doctors, but like there are a lot that like do they just not care? Do they not know? Like,
Yeah, I don't. It's really a great question because I think that
and we'll get into it too because
yeah, that was so much in the Sackler book that it was like you know everyone trying to point fingers at the Sacklers and all this and all that. It's just like, but they're a company that's sole focus is making money. So if you allow them to sell heroin in pill form and then market it and sell it, give it to have doctors writing scripts for it. Like if you allow them to do that, why would they not do that? Like at what point does it fall on the doctors? Does it fall on the FDA? Does it fall on the government to just be like, "Whoa, you guys can't sell heroin"? Like it was like heroin was like Schedule 2,
they were it was
and
getting
like weed was like
prescribed.
Schedule 1.
Yeah, like, they were literally prescribing heroin at one point,
Yeah, and like
telling you it was perfectly safe.
yeah, like
Like,
opium and like what they were selling wasn't like a new thing that like people were like, oh, I didn't know that like they were going to be that addictive. It's just like you did know, like it's
right,
been around for thousands of years. Like
you're blatantly lying about
yeah,
it, and not only doing that just for money, but like then you have the actual individual people that are getting hurt. So that's like, and we'll get in. Maybe we should start diving into like more specifics on the book.
yeah.
Um, first, like just in general, back pain. That's a real thing.
Oh, definitely.
Who doesn't have back pain sometimes?
Especially
Like
lower back pain.
lower back pain, all the sitting that we're doing. She gave a few stats of like 33% of the population had recorded no physical activity in the past 30 days, which is absurd.
It's funny. I wrote down 25% of Americans, but I think it was maybe 25% of Americans, maybe 33%.
Right. I could, one third of kids are obese. And it's clearly like all the sitting, um, is just causing havoc on our bodies. Like,
Yeah, she said sedentary lifestyles reduce lifespan by 2 years, and it's
that's
one
crazy.
of the four most deadly causes of death. It's like
That's
sedentary lifestyle.
that's insane.
Yeah.
So like clearly there's a problem with the lifestyle and this back pain is like a real deal thing and like I've had it before. When you have it, is the worst thing. Like you can't sit or write, or you
Oh
can't
yeah.
stand or lie down comfortably
And
and
then you
move.
and then you can't work out, which it turns out is like the whole cure. So it's like you need to push
Yep.
yourself past this point of uncomfort to like go out and do stuff again.
Yeah. So like back pain is brutal. So like basically when you have back pain, you are willing to
Try
listen
anything,
and try
yeah.
to anyone and try anything that will, especially if people say, "Oh, I have this quick fix for you." Like
Yeah.
and it's a lot harder to get people to do like the long journey of like
Oh, totally.
rehabbing and getting back into like the right kind of like strength and mobility and things. So
Yeah.
like that's where like the bad actors come into play. So she started to kind of go into like chiropractors, physical therapists, and kind of like the problems with those industries.
Yeah.
My hot take there is like I have had nothing but good experiences with chiropractors.
Yeah.
Um, like I'm sure there are a lot that are like scammers and dummies that don't know what they're doing and are harming people.
Yeah.
But like she kind of painted it in a way that it's like essentially just like junk science, which it
Yeah.
might be.
And it's always been kind of a little bit fringe with that. Like the whole like cracking the muscles or cracking like the joints that
Mm,
release whatever the oxygen that makes that cracking sound, whatever it is, like I think is known to have like no positive
right,
like sustaining benefit. Where it's like you may get that pop, but it's like then you're gonna be right back in the exact same situation in an hour.
right. Like the like I don't wouldn't know how to explain why there's a benefit. But like I had felt better going to a chiropractor at times.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming it's like, all right, maybe they can help like nudge things in the right direction, but then you have to kind of keep up with like
totally.
maintaining like strengthening so that way you kind of maintain whatever they were helping you do.
I think it's almost become like physical therapy has almost become what chiropractics maybe should have been, which is like I think there's real value in like loosening up the muscles and kind of
Hmm.
moving some muscles around and open up some space before your workout, especially like football players and those types of things. It's like I think
Yeah,
getting a chiropractic adjustment and just moving around the muscles, like almost like a massage, like that would be so necessary. Um, but I also think like, and again, almost like it seemed like the point of this book was if you want to fix your back pain, you need to strengthen the muscles where your
for sure.
deficiencies are that are causing all the problems. And unless you strengthen the muscles, like no matter what you do isn't going to help.
For sure. I agree with that as like
Yeah,
the final
I do
message
as
she kind
well.
of got to.
Yeah.
It's like you're it's probably because you have like weak glutes and like
Yes.
tight hip flexors
Yes.
and you haven't moved and your hips are like a mess, which I have all of those issues and
Me
problems
too.
and it's hard
And everyone's
to
just a
fix.
different physique where it's just like I've always had like a much weaker back than I have like chest
Right,
or
and it's hard
shoulders.
to because you're mostly you're working out and stuff is gonna be like on the
Everything's
stuff
coming
you can
forward.
see. Everything
Yeah.
you're pushing, you're driving, you're texting, it's all forward. So like
Yeah.
every single person's gonna have that problem. But someone who went to chiropractors, I would go like like when I was a kid,
Yeah.
like once or twice a week.
Wow.
I was a sick kid, like asthma, like
And the
couldn't breathe.
chiropractors like would help with that.
I don't know, but I think we were at the point with me, probably my parents were, where they were like, we have to try anything to like make me better.
Yeah.
So I was like inhaler, like couldn't breathe certain times, would be like wheezing all the time. Um,
Probably too many vaccines.
I probably, that's what I say now.
Yeah.
Like if I was on like at my one of my buddies' houses for like a play date, like halfway through, my mom would have to come over and
Yeah.
like bring this like oxygen tank for me and to like help me like breathe in the middle of it. So like the fact that I had any friends
Oh yeah.
is just a shocker.
Yeah.
But I think this kind of goes into like people when you're in a situation where you can't fix something,
Yeah.
will try different things to fix it, whether that's chiropractor or like something. Like I slept on my mattress was made out of magnets growing up, and my pillow. So like I there was some like something that someone must have told my parents that was like
Yeah.
this could help because it's going to like
Yeah.
change the energy in the
Yeah.
body or something like that. So like people are willing to do stuff like that to like
Yeah.
do it. So like again, say you're going to a chiropractor then, and with physical therapists, I think her thing was like it can be really good, but some physical therapists are really bad and
Yeah.
make things worse.
And she went so much into the different training of different physical therapists
Hmm.
and different trainers where it's like, yeah, like, you gotta strengthen the muscles. And that's maybe the part of the book that I did like is she spent so much time kind of dancing around like what doesn't work and what does work. But
Mm.
then when she kind of was like what does work, it was kind of like it also doesn't work. Because like not only do you need to find the right physical
Mm.
therapist or the right rehab center or the right trainer that like has the right schooling, but then you need to be able to like keep it up on your own.
Yep.
And it's like, then she was pretty much like, which also is not possible. Like, it's not possible spending 2 hours every day, you know, almost like at separate times where she almost kind of made it seem like once a day at the gym is not enough. Like you need to designate like your entire day committed to sitting up straight and not hunching over and then being at the gym doing those same exercises which could take 3 hours, and it's kind of like, lady, like I have a job.
Right, like, and I didn't even understand the whole sitting. Like, there was one part where she was like sitting at a 90-degree angle is actually bad. It's like
Yeah,
if someone's like, hey, sit with good posture, I'm going 90 degrees here.
yeah,
And I think she said that the real way to be is 130 degrees, which would be like really leaning pretty far back.
yeah, that would be.
And I was like, this is that right? That can't be right.
I don't know. And that's the thing is like,
Like there's so like
but again, is that like even if that is right? Like, what am I gonna get I'm gonna be, at work and just like sitting in a chair at a 130-degree angle looking at the ceiling.
she was talking about these chairs that they had that people were designing like different things, and I looked one up,
Yeah,
and it was literally like a thing with no back, where you are kind of like this, and like the
yeah,
desk is over here, and like it looked like the most uncomfortable thing. And
yeah.
there's no way that could actually be better.
No,
But it just shows that like this lady did crazy amount of research on this book.
yes,
So she said she talked to over 600 people
yeah,
interviewed, and then writes this whole book and like still doesn't even really know what back
no,
pain is, what's causing it, and how to
no.
fix it.
She just knows that you need to strengthen the ligaments and the muscles that are causing your thing. But it's like that's so up in the air because everyone has different weak muscles or weak things for themselves.
Right, everyone's different. So like
Yeah,
one person's might have weak glutes, another person might have like shit hips or something,
yeah,
and it's it's almost impossible to like really figure out what
yeah,
is causing it unless you like are going through it yourself and like start testing out these different things and like trying and seeing what works.
yeah. And I even like I feel the best like my back when almost like doing two workouts a day where like in the morning it's great if I can go to the gym and I can do like my shoulder rehab, I can do like bar hangs, I can
Hmm.
do farmers carries and some like lower back workout stuff and then go home and eat and chill and then go back to the gym later. But it's also like I said, I think it's like the normal person doesn't have time to go to the gym
Well,
twice a day.
she said most people essentially have not had any physical activity in the last month.
Yeah,
So like to get someone to do that is just
twice a
not gonna
day.
happen.
Yeah. Even someone that
Um,
wants to do it.
and I mean, so she talks about um, the physical therapists and the chiropractors, and she kind of goes into like the doctors and how they're kind of using this system to capitalize for themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff I didn't know, which I really enjoyed, was like um, the way that they order like MRIs. So like they just get paid like per scan.
Yeah.
So like if people don't need an MRI, they will they're still incentivized to have you get an MRI because then they get paid for that. So whether or not that's something that you even need or it's helpful doesn't
Yeah.
even matter.
Yeah.
They're just going to send you for an MRI and let you do that. And then they did all these studies and they showed that doctors can't even read MRIs. They gave
Yeah.
like the same picture to 10 different doctors and
Yeah.
they each gave a different diagnosis of like what the problem was
Especially with backs, right?
with backs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, specifically with backs, which I think is like spine is clearly like super complicated. No one can
Yeah.
replicate it um in any way. Like we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
They can't recreate it with like other materials or anything
And like
like
some
that.
will be like, oh, it's a curved back. You have scoliosis, and others will be like, every back is curved, and and like you having a curved back has no effect on your pain.
Right. And then she gets into like the surgeries and the same thing where it was like 10 different doctors would give 10 different recommendations for
Yeah.
surgeries based on the same set of information
Yeah.
and facts. So it's like, how are you supposed to, like, what are you supposed to do if you're in a
Yeah.
situation and you find the guy that's like kind of willing to push you in that direction for surgery because he's going to get paid per surgery
Yeah.
and it's going to get paid by insurance so then he can kind of tell it to you in a way that like oh this isn't going to be too impactful for you just your insurance is going to cover it
Yeah.
and then it's this really messed up system that doesn't actually help anyone
Yeah.
because if it doesn't work which it doesn't a lot she gave a lot of stats of like how infrequently spine surgery works,
Yeah.
there's no consequence.
Yeah.
It's just like now that person is more in a worse situation than they were when they started.
Yeah.
Like you can't move. And now this doctor got paid.
Yeah.
It's like that's messed up.
And it was like it took her so long to finally get to the point where she found like the right doctor and a great doctor. and he was immediately just like, I wouldn't do surgery on you, but I'm gonna tell you about my friend's like clinic where
Mhm.
he's like gonna show you how to work out yourself and build your muscle up. And it's like that's crazy too, because it's like how could this spine surgeon make money if every single person is just like you actually don't need spine surgery, it actually doesn't work. You need to strengthen your back.
Right.
Which is like funny too, because like that is like the oldest thing is like, oh, your back hurts, like stay off your back. Don't lift with your lower back. And it's just like it's like
Yeah.
ironic because it seems like her whole point of this book was you need to be doing the opposite. Like you need to strengthen your lower back and strengthen your back to the point where you can then use your back.
That was her big thing, and I actually think she was right.
I do,
And
and
I
I
actually think it like changed how I think too, because 100% when you
you
like
just stay away
if
from
your
it.
back hurts,
Yes.
all of a sudden you start bending weird.
Yes.
I think she called it like guarding, where you kind of like you move in a way that's not going to like
Yeah.
further worsen your back, and now you're kind of like essentially you are making it worse by
Yeah.
doing that
I
because
completely stopped even working out my lower back. Like I
I've gone
completely
through that.
stopped because it was like first I had to separate my leg day and my back day by like literally as many days as I could
Yeah,
within my 5 day split. Because if I did legs, it would like wear out my lower back, and then if I tried to do like lower back exercise the next day, like I'd be injured for the next 2 weeks. So it'd just be like I have to spread them out, and then at a certain point, it still almost like wasn't helping because I don't know how to squat. So it's like every time I squat, I hurt my lower
it's
back.
too hard.
So then I was like, okay, I had completely stopped squatting. And then out of fear, I'd stopped even working on my lower back. So it was like I wasn't, like, and that's not like a good,
I've done the exact same thing before with the back. Doing it with the shoulder recently while reading this book, like the last few months, have been just avoiding certain exercises for
yeah,
my shoulder,
yeah,
thinking that like, oh, I'll just try to make it get better over time.
yeah,
And I was like, I think I might just be guarding it while reading this book.
yeah,
And I literally went the next day to the gym and like tried things I haven't done in a long time.
and we're fine.
And it was like, oh, this actually feels okay.
Yeah,
And since then, it's been getting much better, and it
yeah,
hadn't been getting better at all in a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah, I think it's about strengthening those muscles.
Mhm.
And it's weird. It's like I've heard that a few times. Like I remember when my chiropractor like used to be pretty big on that of just like, make sure you're balancing your workout. So like with every heavy push you do, you need to do a heavy pull and
That's
like
about right.
yeah. And I think it's like totally right. And I even think it was like right from the standpoint of like if your back muscles are the weakest muscle,
And that's the case in everyone, just based on
yes.
how we live.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think the guarding is real, and it's a little bit of a slippery slope, which she didn't mention, where it's like, because she's essentially was kind of saying like, you almost have to push through the pain
Yeah.
in a way that's going to help like strengthen all the muscles around it that
Yeah.
are going to help it, and then it's going to
Especially
get
if you're in
stronger.
really bad shape. And that kind of
Right.
brings me full circle to Luigi Mangione.
Okay.
Like watching the news and seeing some pictures of him, all of a sudden, like you'd see a random picture and you'd be like, this dude's effing jacked.
He's a good. So that's what made
But
him
I
so
don't know if he
controversial.
always was. Like I think he read this book and he was just like, I gotta get effing jacked.
Do you think
And
he
then
read this book, stopped guarding his
yes,
back,
I think in
and
my
got
mind,
jacked?
that's exactly what happened. And then he was just like, oh my God, light bulb, this all these surgeries, all this
This
thing
is
was
all a sham.
all a sham. Now he's feeling great. He's feeling jacked. He's probably feeling like a superhero.
It's like, I'm gonna save the
I'm
world.
gonna murder someone.
I'm gonna save everyone. That's a good.
Because he didn't even kill the person. Like I think that was like the initial thing was like he was gonna kill the head of whichever company was denying his claims. That it was about
Mhm.
money and that it was about like them denying their claims. And he did like write that on the bullet, right? Like deny or whatever it was.
Yeah. So like,
And I'm sure that was a big part of it.
so it sounds like so far from our initial topic, you're pro shooting people.
I wouldn't say pro shooting
You're
people.
leaning into it. But
I would say I think what we always say is and like anytime it comes up on these topics with like the accountability and all this stuff, it's like
Mhm.
we have very little accountability in this country for like the choices that we make that like put people in bad spots. Like
100%.
even we talked about with like some of the wars, it's like we're meddling in these things all over the world we were meddling in the Middle East with Osama bin Laden, and like you read some of these books, and it's just like we had Osama bin Laden like was essentially working for the CIA to try to overthrow their government at the time, and it's just like we're meddling in it, and then he turns on us and does that, and we're just like this bastard. And it's like, meanwhile, it's like, how many schools and and churches have we probably bombed in the Middle East? It's just like it's especially weird with the media because you don't know the whole story. Like we as civilians,
Mm.
we're not sitting in those rooms. We don't know the extent of it. We don't know the extent of the conflict, but it doesn't look good, I think, from either side. But the media paints it as very one-sided.
Oh, I have a lot to say about journalists all the time.
And I think the Luigi thing was kind of the same thing,
Yeah,
which is like, I think the media was trying to paint it as like, immediately they were just like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. And then all of a sudden, like, people were tweeting and saying stuff, and like they were putting up polls about how many people like supported what he
yeah,
did. And then, like, the media was just like shocked and disgusted. But it's like we said, I don't think it's about like a guy dying and kids losing their father. I think it's like they're voicing their displeasure with
for sure.
the pharmaceutical industry and
And
the
I'm
healthcare
right,
system.
and I'm torn on it, and I'm using all my strength to not go on an Osama bin Laden tangent, which should
Yeah,
take us way
yeah,
into left field. But even to like bring it back to this, it's like because this guy was the United Healthcare CEO, and the way that insurance companies kind of partner with the underlying doctors or whoever
yeah.
is just wrong. Like,
It's sickening. Like the whole system, and especially we'll get more into it with the Fauci thing and
mhm,
that intertanglement of like World Health Organization, which has a really good name for like what they're supposed to be, but like is completely the opposite of what they actually are.
right,
And then like how Gates has investments in the WHO and he has investments in tech, and then tech has investments in the pharmaceutical industry. And
yeah,
it's like you end up with these entanglements that are like sickening. That it's like, of course, Facebook was blocking any vaccine injury reports because it's like they're invested 67 billion into
yeah.
pharma, and it's just
Like
like,
the whole incentive structure is wrong.
yes,
The incentive should be for these health related organizations to it
to
should
make
be
people
to
healthier.
make people healthier,
Yes,
but that is actually takes if you get
yes,
healthier, you're now out of the system of whatever the
yes,
system is, whether it's like the vaccines or back pain. So in this case, what she kind of mentioned in the book was insurance isn't going to cover a lot of treatments that aren't cash cows. So
yeah,
like these surgeries that don't work, aren't proven to work in any way, insurance will cover them.
yeah,
No questions asked. Seventh surgery, eighth surgery, we're gonna keep bringing you back in. We're gonna, put another brace in your spine. We're gonna do
yeah.
this or that. She talked about these like kind of like rehab centers that I had never heard of before, which I think sound really great.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Um, where you essentially go, you're on a 30-day program, and they say like, hey, not everyone's getting accepted. You have to kind of show
Go
up
there,
and
you're
do the
gonna work
work.
your tail
This
off.
is going to
Yeah,
be a full-time job for 30 days. We're going to teach you everything you need to do to cure your back pain.
yeah,
And then after that, like you're done. You're out of here. We don't want to see you again. That's the right incentive. And
100%.
they would kind of go through and show you like this is how the exercises you can do. This is the intensity that you need to have. This is how you increase from week to week in terms of like tracking progress and
Yeah.
things like that so you can actually make changes in your life.
Have you ever been
Insurance doesn't cover that.
no. Have you ever been to a physical therapist?
I never have. Like I would love to go to a place like that. It was like 30 days, we're gonna teach you how to squat up and down like a person
Yes.
should, how to use your shoulders the right way
Yeah.
without like arching your back or something. Because I know I'm all messed up in the gym.
Same. And I went to physical therapy for my shoulder and I was expecting nothing. And like halfway through I just remember like thinking this is a waste of time. Like they're having me use like 5 pound weights. And I was just like, I could be throwing around 65 right now.
No problem. No Christmas fast.
And like, but like it really like, and then I remember like just getting to a point where they were just like, okay, like hang from the bar and then like just pull your shoulders up, but don't do a pull up. And it's like all I wanted to do was like show how many pull ups,
Right, like,
you know?
hey lady, watch this.
Yeah. But then like by the end of it, like she was finally like, okay, like try a pull up now. After like doing some like
Hmm.
W
W raise.
yeah. And like, I just remember thinking, like, before I did the pull up, I was just like, this whole thing was a waste of time. And I'm going to tell you that my shoulder hurts in about 1 second and just be like, you guys having me lift 5 pounds didn't work at all. And like, I did like a pull up and felt like zero discomfort. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, first, I realized I've been working out wrong the entire time.
Everything's wrong.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever done is wrong.
Second is like, I'll even see it now. Like, some 20-year-old gym bro goes in and he just grabs like 15s and just like swings them in circles, like does
Yeah,
circles with them, and then
I see
like
that.
literally for 30 seconds, and then like grabs the 60s and sits on the bench. And I'm just like, it's crazy because I probably used to do that,
100%.
thinking that that was a warm up. And
And when
it's
you're
like
in your
all you're doing is
20s,
literally
you're
injuring.
fine.
Yes.
You still have that mind muscle connection, and like you almost
Yes.
lose that over time. Where I'm like, now I'm doing a chest exercise, and I'm like, I don't feel it in my chest. Like clearly
Yeah.
something's wrong, and it's because of like my posture isn't good, and I'm
Yeah.
like overcompensating
Yes.
this
You don't
way
want to
or
hurt your
something.
shoulder, so you're pushing with something
And then you
else. And
kind of completely lose the plot on it, and
yes.
you're doing something completely that's not even close to the exercise you tried to do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're creating all these problems for yourself. So like the fact that there's a places that exist I've never even heard of before,
No.
where they kind of can teach you these things if you have back pain, get you into the right kind of shape, and they have like an amazing success rate of people that get there, like 90+% success of people who've had chronic back pain come into these places for 30 days,
Yeah.
leave feeling better, and are better a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, not covered by insurance. Spine surgery
Yes.
or chiropractor or physical therapy, which have a
Mm,
lot,
20% success
right,
rate.
either terrible success rate or mixed or whatever you might think,
Yeah.
fully covered by insurance no matter what. And I
Yeah.
think people that get stuck in the system like Luigi, or you're going to get upset
Yeah.
about it. And I think that is valid.
No, I totally agree. I think that it's weird that you can't have those conversations either. Like, they'll twist the conversations immediately in the media too, to like, you
Mhm.
think this kid should have lost his father because his dad, had a job working for a pharmaceutical company and was good at his job. And it's just like, that's really not the conversation here. The conversation
It's
is are there consequences for wealth, like for going after extreme wealth when you're putting other people?
for sure. I think the debate is like if you're just a guy and like this United Healthcare CEO
Yeah.
and you just start working, you go to college, like you don't know, like you
You
don't
don't
have this
know.
like master plan that like you're gonna take over and like
Yes.
F everyone else over, but
Yes.
you kind of get caught up in this world and the bubble that you're in and the corporation you're working for, and your goal is to kind of like you want to get to the top and you want
Yeah.
to be as good as you can be,
And you're
and
being trained, and you're
and
realizing things along the way that you can
it's
make more money by doing this.
right, and I think it's small things over time that like I'm torn on this whether this person should be realizing in real time or not, like
Yeah.
your incentive as say this guy gets promoted now, he's like VP of sales in Northeast.
Yes.
He's only judged on if he's like incrementally quarter over quarter increasing their profit margin by a certain percentage.
Yeah.
It's not at all of are there better outcomes for the people that are customers or not. It's literally just a bottom line. So he's just a guy in an office now.
And
And
you're
he's
either
like,
you're either a guy that listens to your boss or you're a guy that doesn't listen to your
right. And
boss.
he's just like, how can I pull strings to help this bottom line quarter over quarter? Because now we
Yeah.
have shareholders, and it's not about this like large company mission to like do something good and also make money. It's literally just like we have shareholders now,
We
and we
need
have
the
to report
profit.
every quarter,
Yeah.
and now we need to make sure it's a little bit better every single quarter. And
Yeah.
how can we do that along the way? Now it's like 20 years have passed, and
Yes.
you've somehow made it to the top.
Yeah.
And now you're in charge of this like whole thing, and like you might not even know like what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
And it's not like you had, but at a certain point, I'm arguing both sides of this. You
And I
have
think
to
I think you need to. I
you
think
have to think about what you're doing and how it's impacting society and people,
yeah.
and like have some self-reflection. Like I do think individuals have that responsibility, even as you're getting caught up in this thing. And maybe as a person, the United Healthcare CEO wasn't a bad guy. Probably he was
Yeah.
just like caught up in this thing, and he was maybe really good at being a businessman and
Yeah.
marketing or whatever he has to
I
do.
think the Wolf of Wall Street thing too, where it's like you don't care whether you're making your clients money or not. You care about bringing in money to the company and bringing in
Mhm.
money to yourself, and it's just like I can see, yeah, I can easily see. I mean, I personally would have a hard time with it. Like, I remember, like, when people would get out and I would get like a text from some kid I went to high school with being like, "Hey, Steve, like, haven't talked to you for 9 years. Like, I want to check up on how your investing needs were." And I'm
Mm,
just like in my head, I'm just kind of like, it's sad that you would need
for sure.
to do this to your friend, but I also like totally understand that you have a job and like the first thing that they're gonna say at this job is like text everyone in your phone and
I had
ask.
that. That was my first job out
Yeah,
of school.
and it's like it's tough because it's just like, yeah, you either have to do it
And I
or you have to
hated
quit your
it.
job. Yeah, I think it's really tough. It's the same thing with like selling knives door to door. Like I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want to feel like I'm ripping someone else off so that I can profit. Like
100%.
these knives aren't that great.
100%. And again, like I'm
But I also understand why people do.
right. Like I empathize with this guy who's CEO and I healthcare, and I generally hate like all the healthcare stuff because it wasn't like I don't think he was like the mastermind
Behind the whole
plotting this
thing.
whole thing when
Yeah.
he was, and then he finally did it. But and I think he kind of probably just got caught up into like following these quarter by quarter numbers.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, like you have to individuals and him and everyone else in this company or the advertisers that we were talking about with Johan Hari,
Yeah.
like you have to think about what you're doing and how it's impacting people and like be realistic about it a little bit. Because like I just
But
don't get how people sleep at night.
then you can't be good at your job.
Yeah.
So then it's like,
Yeah. No, I mean
and
it's
it's like
you're right.
there is one in
So
a
what do you
thousand
do?
people. It's so tough because one in a thousand people do realize what's going on. They do feel bad enough about
They
it,
just
and
don't
then they
rise in
quit
the
their
ranks.
job.
Yeah, they quit
Yeah,
or they just get stuck in some
like
like middle manager position
yes,
and they can't have an
yeah,
impact
like
and
how often do we hear like some random person that was high up in the FDA quit during COVID, or like
or got murdered
yes,
suspiciously. It's committed
yeah, it's one
suicide.
of the two. If you're gonna quit and not say anything, you're fine. But if you're like threatening to blow the whistle, it's like they'll probably kill you. But
Yeah,
again, it's like it's not a
it goes back to like the doctors too, where it's like I don't necessarily think that they have this mastermind plan where they're going to say, "I'm going to get all these MRIs and send
yes,
people to surgeries, and then I'm going to make the most
yes,
money." But they
yes.
get caught up into that thing,
Where it's
and
just
they're
like
not taking the
yes,
time to be
yes.
like,
Someone comes in with
"I'm actually not helping
back
people."
pain. Yeah, the
Like,
first thing I'm gonna do is give them an MRI. I'm gonna go through my three, four things that I've learned are
right,
one,
right.
proper treatments for that or proper diagnosis for them, and also profit for us.
It just becomes like a decision tree for doctors where it's like they literally just follow this down and like almost anyone can do it.
Yeah,
And it's not why I'm assuming most doctors get into it to help people and for good intentions and they're super smart people and they're
yeah,
capable of so much more than just following a decision tree that like a monkey could do
yeah,
and just being like, oh, back pain, opioids, okay, that doesn't work, spine surgery, okay,
yeah.
and but then I think they get caught up in that and they don't stop and think like, wait, I'm actually not helping anyone.
But then it puts you
People
in
are like
such a
worse off after they come
I
to me,
know. And
you
it
know?
puts you in such a tough position because it's like, do we want these people to quit their jobs? Like, do we want every spine surgeon to just be like, actually, outside of outside of maybe like 5% of cases of people that are in like bad car accidents or have like a tumor or some sort of
Hmm.
catastrophic event, like outside of that 5 cases of like actually needing to go in and do spine surgery, 95% of spine surgeons are maybe not needed. So it's like, what do we want them to do? Do we want them to go back to school and be like, fine, pick something else because what you picked was turned out to be dumb? Or do you want them to just like not make like 40K a year, just sending people to rehab clinics? Like
It's tough because like you're a spine
like
surgeon.
that, they're probably $400, 400K in debt from going for all the
Yeah, when they
schooling.
start
Yeah.
for oh yeah, and that doesn't help
And all of a
because
sudden
now all of a
you're two
sudden
years
you're
in.
starting from behind. So like
Yes.
the little things that you can do to make more money, you're
Yes.
gonna do, and you're gonna so
Yeah.
it makes it even
And you
worse.
also feel
Yeah,
like you want to do spine surgeries because it's like in order for you to rise up the ranks and like get good at this, you're gonna have to actually need to do it occasionally.
yeah,
You can't just like take every single person and be like, I wouldn't chance it. It's a 50-50. I wouldn't chance it. Like if you do that on all of them, it's like you're not gonna be doing the surgeries and you're not gonna
for
be seeing
sure.
through.
But I do think, and it's a good question of like what should they do or whatever. But like I think they at least have to be transparent and say like, hey, this is the success rate for a surgery like this.
Yeah,
We can do this on you. Like I can perform the surgery on you. I think I think a lot of these were like 15% success rates.
yeah,
Like and people are going into them thinking it's 100.
yeah,
That's wrong, I think. And I think doctors are knowingly sometimes at least, or maybe most of the time, withholding that information. So I think you have to at least be transparent. Like if you're running it as a business and now you're not telling your customers essentially what your product is at all, like you're just a scammer. Whether you're a superstar spinal surgeon or you're the guy in the street telling you it's a real Louis Vuitton bag and it's not. Like
yeah,
at a certain point, it's on some individuals to step up, and then people who want to be a spine surgeon now know like, oh, it's actually only 15% success rate. I didn't know that before I did 8 years in school and eight hundred
yeah,
thousand dollars debt or whatever. Now I know like because that person's super smart.
yeah,
Probably if you're becoming a spinal surgeon.
totally.
Now maybe that person picks a different field and
Yeah.
actually does good things that might help people. So like
But do you think it's different in other fields? I think doctors in general now, I think it's what become, even with the
that's
vaccine
I was
stuff.
like everything we learn
Yes,
is different. Like this is completely different than vaccines, and it's almost like the same
exactly the same.
result.
Yeah.
So like,
That all these doctors now, like, in order
yeah,
for them to be profitable in their practice, they have to push vaccines.
yeah,
Like, otherwise, if they literally don't push vaccines in their practice, they can't be profitable.
it goes back to the fact that the incentive is to not make you better.
It's a broken system.
The system,
And
right?
that's the thing. It's like, and that kind of goes to the Luigi thing. It's like, are we okay with killing some random guy to overthrow the system? And it's like, honestly, no, because I don't think he accomplished what he really was trying to accomplish, which is essentially fixing a broken system. But I think killing that one guy that's just a part of the system isn't necessarily fixing the system. I think even if you kill like if they tried to kill Trump, and it's like even if you kill Trump, would you fix the system?
For sure.
No. You know, like if you kill Biden, would you fix the system? No. Like killing one person isn't going to
Sure.
fix the system, but
So you're leaning more towards shooting people back.
unless it's multiple people.
You kill more people.
If you can kill enough people to change the system, and over. You
kill
know,
kill
it's
everyone
like
in this.
what's going on in these other
Yeah,
countries
yeah.
that don't have powerful enough governments. The governments just seem to get overthrown every
By
like
the by,
12 years,
by the U.S. government.
mostly by U.S. government,
but
but in
but
the other places also no.
I think it's a good point about Trump, and I think why people wanted him in both times is because they thought he was going to come in and blow
The
everything up
system,
and let's
yeah,
start over from scratch. And whether or
yes,
not he did that or anything could happen is different. But I think that's what people got excited about.
totally agree.
So I think that's what, kind of what you're saying is like killing the CEO of United Healthcare doesn't actually do anything because now there's a new CEO of United
Yes,
Healthcare. Probably
yes,
has better security than
yes,
this guy had. And killing him actually didn't do anything because they're still making the same
yes,
profits. They still have the same system in, but somehow, some way, you need to change the system
yeah.
and how we do that.
Or you're gonna have more things like this happen. You're gonna have
More
more people,
one-offs.
yeah. And we've had way more people just kind of like lose their shit and die
Well,
over
and
like systematic
right,
problems.
like I don't think killing people is good, but I get what would drive someone while reading this book about the back pain industry, how
Yeah,
you would go could go crazy.
yeah.
Like you can't move. You're doing this. You're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're mortgaging your whole life
And
to
you're
try to
trying,
be able to sit comfortably or
yes,
lay down.
not in a
And
130
people
degree
are
angle.
giving you the runaround. Like
Yeah,
at a certain point, you're gonna be like, I'm effing shit up,
yeah,
And whether that's the right way to deal with it or not is a different story. But it's like you can understand if someone gets there.
yeah, I think so. And I think like when you put all this together, and he was a really smart guy, so he was probably putting more puzzle pieces together than us, you know?
He read
Like,
this book and
yeah,
then he also had the real life experience.
yes.
He overcame. He got
And he was
jacked.
an Ivy League guy.
Was he Ivy League?
Yeah. Like
Smarter
he
than us.
smarter than us. Like almost like a call type reader where it's like he's connecting dots that we're not even seeing, you know?
Yeah,
It's like we read this book and we're just like surgery bad, working out good.
yeah. Keep
You know?
going, Jim.
Yeah. Like he's probably connecting dots that we didn't even know existed. especially with his own personal experience. With the claims being denied and all that stuff. Like he definitely put in his own research.
For sure. So like I almost wish that he made the killing of this guy like more meaningful because like it sparked some debate for like a week and then everyone
Yeah,
kind of goes off. But like if I don't know, like if he killed this guy and then left like a very well thought out message about why and what the problems are and what he needs to be fixed and what he's calling attention to or something, then we can like have a real good debate about it. Instead, the debate becomes like, dude, he was so hot, like,
yeah.
or like, it, like everyone like we
Or like that dude had two children.
right, and like that's also a good
Yeah.
point. Like it would be.
I think you're looking for a kidnapping situation
Ooh,
where he gets him on tape, talking about the
have a conversation.
yes.
Start a podcast.
He gets him on his pod and then he starts talking about like, all right, like, why did you deny this
That
claim?
like honestly, it sounds so stupid, and I think it was like a Black Mirror episode once. But like, if his point was to try to like mess up the system, kidnapping and having like a live stream
Yeah,
where you were like would have a better,
I think so.
longer lasting
Yeah.
effect,
This just feels like malicious revenge.
right? And I do think you have to say like if the like I don't even remember if this guy had kids or not, but like that is a thing. Like that's not
I think he did, yeah.
right. Like that stinks.
Horribly.
Like that's bad. So like okay, maybe killing the guy isn't the best way to go about it, but there's still that also doesn't mean that there's no problems with healthcare at all, and we shouldn't talk about what's wrong
Yes.
with it. Like people go one way so far to one side, and like
And that's the
it's like
problem.
wait, hold on, like
And he probably feels like, and again, I can't be speaking for Luigi Mangione, but he probably feels like, had I not killed this guy, no one would be talking about it, and no one would talk about it. Like, if he just was like, oh,
mhm,
I want a platform so I can talk about what's going on, what type of platform is he getting? He's probably getting one similar to us 12 viewers and 12 subscribers, probably two viewers. And it's just like, you're not
yeah.
making enough noise. So
The
it's
plays
like,
on the Modoc are significantly down from the Call episode.
yeah,
People wanted to come for Call.
yeah.
They saw he wasn't on the next one.
Yeah, and they're just like,
They said,
I can't blame him
I'm
for that.
tuning out.
You know what he kind of needed, and Kev will appreciate this if he is tuning in this week, is,
For
yeah, this far him, is that he needed a law-abiding citizen type
situation.
situation.
Remind me what that is. I don't even know if I've seen that movie, or I don't remember
You
it.
should check it out. Kev's favorite movie, horrible movie, not that good. Yeah,
That's a movie club.
yeah, he's a movie club guy, but Gerard Butler is like his wife gets killed, and then by like two guys, and then like he knows who the guys are. He like saw their faces. He goes in court and he pretty much says like, okay, these are the two guys that killed my wife, broke into my house, killed my wife, and then one they like get off, or at least one of them gets like totally off on a technicality, like a poorly something warrant, like a faulty warrant. So then one guy gets like totally off, and then the other guy ends up like cutting a deal and only getting
Mm,
like 5 years for like killing his wife. So then he turns out Gerard Butler, ex like CIA spook, then just goes on like a killing spree where he like tortures the crap out of one guy and then like goes after the whole system. So it's going after the lawyers in the case, so
I
it's going after
see.
the judges, and pretty much like attempts to murder everyone.
So you think Luigi Mangione didn't kill him with feet?
I really, the more that I think
Yeah,
about it, the
that seems
more,
like weird.
yeah,
I'm also so proud of myself that I just said that I'd never seen that movie because I've so many times people have been like brought up a movie to talk about. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, have you seen it? And I'll be like, yeah, and I haven't seen it, and I
yeah.
don't know why. I feel the need to like tell people I've seen movies I haven't seen.
Well, the best
So I
was,
had to be like, no, 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 I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
yeah, well, the best was Cat telling you to watch the platform, and you're just like, oh, like, 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 when did you see it? And you're just like, well, I haven't watched it. But like, people have explained it to me, and it seems great.
And I did see the platform.
Yeah,
That was a good COVID movie. Other stuff on this one that we didn't mention yet that I thought was a little bit different was the medical devices, which is kind of like tied into the surgery.
yeah, I
Where
wrote
like
something there too.
you have these like again, you have like, these super hot salesmen
Yeah,
coming in, like these young hot girls and boys
yeah,
coming into a doctor's office and really just manipulating that doctor to use this device. And maybe there's like I'm sure there's like really good devices that are great to sell and totally fine, but
yeah,
clearly not all of them. And they do. these things where like they'll take doctors to like Maui
Yeah, I
and
know.
have all these things, and it's like I don't know if that's what should be happening. And they'll do these
They
like
decide like what like equipment you're gonna use for my back surgery. It's like I want the best equipment, not the one that
you had the best time
you had
on
the best time,
like
you had a
which
great trip in
yeah
Miami.
which rep gave you the best night out in New York
Yeah,
City or something. And again, like the incentive here is wrong where the device companies are responsible for making sure the doctors know how to use it, so
yeah,
they run through this training, but like if the doctors don't pass the training, they're not going to use they can't use the devices,
yeah,
and then that's less money for the device company doing the training. So they make it really easy for
yeah,
doctors to not train well, and then you have a bunch of people who might not be great at spine surgery
yeah.
trying to do spine surgery, which is super complicated.
With a
So
device.
like that whole you're in like a circular thing there where it's
Yeah.
not like you're not in the best kind of system.
I mentioned that. I also mentioned like the fines for when they actually do something wrong. It's like pennies for what they actually made. Like one company, it was like it wasn't the Sackler one, but it was like just on a smaller scale where it was like they literally got caught, they got fined, they were fined $40 million, which sounds like an absurd amount of money. They made 2.1 billion.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're fined $40 million, and I mean the same thing with the Sacklers. It's like those Sacklers, they're not sitting in a basement like this basement right now. Think they're not in the garage, you know.
No.
They're in Maui. They're in you know $500 million.
And then it's happened with Vioxx where they made I forget the numbers like 12 billion and they get fined like 4 billion
Yeah,
or whatever they were.
yeah,
And there's emails with people saying that they are aware that it is killing people,
yeah.
and the fine for that is so small. And this is like
And then like of those 4 billion, I bet like 1 billion maybe gets distributed amongst the victims, and then 3 million just goes to the government to do whatever they want to do, and that probably goes to shady.
most of I would say almost like I don't know like almost none of it goes to the victims. Like I'm sure they're
Yeah.
getting like these settlements for like 250 grand or something. Like they're not
Remember
like
like remember Airborne when it turned out they actually were just selling like vitamin C and pretending like it was medicine?
no.
Oh, so like when I was in high
I
school,
remember Airborne,
yeah, I think it was
but like I didn't know there
Airborne.
was a controversy.
I think it was them, but it was one of those like cold remedies.
Yeah,
And I remember Kaminsky, the teacher. Do you remember him?
yeah,
The literacy
I
teacher?
liked him a lot.
Yeah. So he like pretty much said like if you guys have ever bought like an Airborne before, you go over to this website, you put in a claim for one, and you'll get a check.
Really?
And like I
They have
remember,
the class actions. Yeah.
yeah. So I had never, probably never even bought one. Had no evidence that I ever did, but I just put it on the internet, and then I got like a check for like $13.
Really? So that's how that's how those things work. Like
Yeah.
everyone's gonna get
So like people
$13.
do get some money, but it's just like $13. Like I probably kept my cold for 2 more days, which was like $13 is pretty fair. But it's like if I lost the son to, an opioid addiction, it's like what would that be worth to me? It'd be like
Like,
$50 million if I had to put a number on it.
right, but like I also might not even want any money.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I get $50 million, something that bad
It's like a
happens to,
trade-off. I
what are
know.
you gonna do? Like go to
I
an
know.
island and live in a
Yeah.
mansion? Like, can you enjoy that?
No.
Like oh, this
No.
because you always know what that money is
Yeah,
from. So
so
like,
that, and I almost feel like that's probably part of their
yeah,
argument. It's like no amount of money are ever going to make these people happy. Let's just give them $1 million and be done with that.
right. And we know that we can still advance the bottom line no matter what.
Yeah,
So again, the incentive is just awful. And we'll. T- I don't have too many more notes.
no, I
So
think,
I had only one other thing. I just my negatives for the book.
yeah,
Number one, I thought it was really weird. I was hoping she would. She didn't talk about like sleeping at all, like positions about how you sleep, which
yeah.
I think was surprising to me. That
Should
like
have should have Jake on for that. He's got like a special pillow and everything.
really,
Yeah,
because like say like a lot of people like I'll sleep on my side,
I'm a side sleeper too.
and if you sleep on your side like this, like you're just sitting. So
Yeah,
now you're sitting all day at a desk, and then you sleep on your side with your like if your legs come up at all,
yeah,
you're not sitting for 24 straight hours,
yeah.
essentially. And like, so that's bad. So it would have been nice to hear like if in any of her interviews at all, it would have been nice to be like, oh, maybe sleeping on your back is better if you can do it. Or
I don't think it is.
I don't know.
I think it depends, I guess, maybe who you ask, but I've heard sleeping on your side is the best.
If you're sleeping on your side is good, but you have to keep your legs straight. Because if not,
Oh,
like
is that?
because you're gonna get like you're gonna continue like just get super tight hip flexors.
I
Like
like to
they're
go
loose.
back and forth, side to side.
I just that's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm side to side. I'm side
Yeah.
to side. So I thought that was like again small. I'm nitpicking at the corners here.
Yeah.
Small thing I would have liked to hear about. Other thing that I took personal offense to was that she was really talking down about people who work out their glamour muscles, and I was literally in the squat rack doing barbell curls,
Yeah.
working my
You
biceps
got it.
as she said that, and I said, "Hey, we can do both. We can work
That's
posture
the thing.
and work our barbell
And
curls,
that's a knees
curling
over,
the bar and the squat rack
knees
if
over
we need
toes
to."
guy. I think that's like one of the best thing I've ever heard him say is like, that's your reward for working out your glute muscles. Like do these exercises and
Mhm.
then your reward is now you get to go be a meathead and work out your
He's the
glute muscles.
best.
He's the
He
best.
is the best.
And he's right, because it's
Mhm.
like nobody's going to the gym every day and doing like front toe ups, leaning against the wall for 40 minutes and then going home, seeing no progress, and then continuing to do that for 20 years. Like, nobody will do that.
Right. But like he puts it in a good way, so every once
Yeah.
in a while now I'll be like, oh, let me try it. Let me try to work on
Yes.
that.
But, like,
Let me
yeah, the
sit
way he
in,
says
which
it, it's
is
like, yeah, let me do some
mm,
of this and then I'll go work out.
mm,
Notes for me, only a few. The link between anxiety, depression, and back pain, like a predecessor for back surgery, is to go on antidepressants. That I thought was really interesting. That it's like a
mm.
lot of these people, they think their back pain, I guess it's psychosomatic, that they're just depressed and
She talked a lot about like your brain making the injury 100% worse, and
yeah,
then if you change the way you think about it, you're actually not in that much pain at all.
yeah,
I think that's 100% true. Like for me,
yeah, I
if
agree.
at least like I'll get in my own head and it seems so much worse, and I'll like
Yeah.
start doing dumb stuff.
It's crazy too, like the anxiety and all that stuff. Like I just saw the other day that like 95% of your serotonin actually comes from your gut, your stomach. So
So
it's
what
just
you
like,
eat matters.
yes.
Ugh,
And it's
what
like,
I tell everyone every day, people think I'm crazy about the food
yeah,
and stuff, and no one listens to
it's
me.
like the most important thing. And it's just like,
It's 80% of your immune system.
yeah,
Now it's 95% of that. Like
yeah. And those are probably the two most important things is your immune system to fight off germs, serotonin, and how happy you are. And it's like people are just like eating plastic fish and then drinking plastic water
and being like, I need like
and then eating fake Burger
I
King,
need
fake
chicken
food.
fingers
Yeah.
today. Like I need. It's like, do you?
I know. Well, advertising. Last thing I
Yeah,
had here, heroin was first introduced as a cough syrup by a German pharma company. Maybe you've heard of them, Bayer.
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 Yeah. Well,
In eight,
Bayer. Just a quick fun fact about Bayer. They were around in the World War II days.
yeah, it was 1897.
Yep. And they called the Nazis and they said, "Hey, I need 150 women
Yeah,
to do these tests on."
they were
And
just signing.
they would send them over, that Bayer would do those tests, and then all those women died, and they said, call up, they would call up the Nazis again and say, "Hey, we need 150 more."
Yeah, which book was that in?
I think that might have been just someone unbroken.
No, no, that was in one of the ones we did. That's
Oh,
how I remember that.
that might have been Paperclip.
Yeah, it was.
Um,
Yeah,
if anything, and then Bayer also bought Monsanto, which is a pesticide company.
that was Rogan.
That's probably a Rogan
Yeah,
thing, like a Brigham Wheeler,
yeah,
and he's on, and so now you have pesticides causing all these issues for people, and Bayer giving and I think this comes up later in Fauci, giving both owning the thing that causes the problem and the thing that fixes the
yeah.
problem.
It's
So
yeah, I know. I want to say that for Fauci, but yeah.
yeah,
Uh, said Artemore Sackler invented the concept of like pharma advertising, which we knew from the Sackler book. Um,
yep,
but like that, it is like the advertising in pharma, and now the how intertwined it is with social media and Google and all those things. It's like we can't allow Google to have a $67 million stake in pharmaceuticals. Like
so
how
I
where are we
learned.
supposed to get our information from?
I,
Like
I didn't know
especially
that.
like CNN and all these places, it'll literally be like CNN sponsored by
Thanks, you by
Pfizer.
Pfizer,
So it's like, okay, we can't watch the news. We can't
yeah.
go on Google. Where the hell are we gonna
You're
learn
like,
about
yeah,
whether these vaccines are safe or not?
yeah, 100%.
Big problem.
Huge.
Oh, I thought the sex part position was pretty funny, where she was talking about like the best positions for certain back pain. And do you get to that where
Yeah, but wait, I'm trying to think of what she said though.
she kind of was just like, yeah, like you just can't do certain positions for like if you have like one person has back pain. She goes, there's never been a double back pain study.
Oh, like both people have
Yeah.
back pain. What's the best position for that? Yeah, I do remember
Which
that.
I thought was hilarious. Like,
That was funny. I think I was like, no matter how bad my back pain is, whatever I'm doing is not gonna be for a long enough amount of time for it to make me look position.
that's fair.
Is that what I mean?
Um, but yeah, then I said, um, I totally get the like over time you just fall off. Where like she was saying like physical therapy is really like the secret, but it has to be good physical therapy, like strengthening those muscles. But like over time you just fall off and then your back pain returns. It's like you said, they go to that thing for 3 months where all they're doing is working out intensely
Hmm.
every day for 4 hours a day. And then they go back to their lives and it's like their kids are sick or they don't have time to make dinner and they're back at their job. And
It's
it's
easier
like,
to fall off the
yeah, like
horse.
and I totally get that.
100%.
But then yeah, I just thought she was maybe overly convoluted a little bit with like yoga's not good. Tai Chi can be good. Qigong,
Yeah, so we
bad.
can talk about like the good things that she said, and it was like
Yeah.
these like the rehab centers was one, but then it was also like yoga, tai chi. There were
But it
some
was
other like
also like a
weird things
lot
that
of
I'm like I
yoga
didn't
was
even know what
bad.
they were.
Yeah, where she
Yeah,
would
it's
say
just like
like certain positions like child pose is actually really bad for your back.
right, and it's like
So then you need a specialized yoga
I feel like if you overcomplicate it, it's gonna become
too
you're never gonna get
convoluted.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think if you're like start doing yoga when you're 20, like twice a week, and you become like very mobile and strong through like all these different yoga poses, and that's
Yeah.
part of your like routine. I think
Then
when
it
you're
almost
50,
doesn't
you're gonna
matter.
be in a really good place
Yeah.
versus someone who did not do that at all. Like
Yes.
I think you don't overcomplicate thinking like
Yeah.
this pose is good, but this pose is bad because like
Yeah.
clearly people don't know
Yeah.
exactly, and it's going to change 100 times between now and the time you're 50. So like just get into something that like has you feeling good, I think is like 85% of the battle
No,
more.
totally agree. So what do you have it?
I have one last note, and I don't remember why I wrote it
Yeah.
at all or what it has to do with the book, but I just said, did you know interesting facts that AI titled my note as? Did you know that spinal fluid is one molecule away from seawater?
I did not know that.
Same.
That's
I don't think it
interesting.
was in the book, but I think I heard it on a podcast, and I was like, "That's the craziest thing I've ever heard." And it just shows. I think I was thinking like that's how close everything is kind of connected, and like just one little difference of a molecule makes something so different. But like,
I still don't understand any of that. Like the periodic table, how every single thing that exists from the things on the periodic table. And
like
it's just like hydrogen,
right, like
common gas.
99.7% of the atmosphere or of everything is like nitrogen, hydrogen,
Yeah,
and oxygen.
yeah,
Like those like four or five things. It's
yeah.
like I think I was in Untethered Soul.
And then even it's like water. So water's H2O, right? So we're talking
Yep.
two hydrogens and an oxygen. Why can't we take hydrogen, two of them, grab an oxygen,
Throwing it together.
throw them in together? Why can't that make water?
I I'm trying to think of a counter argument, but I don't.
Like for all these countries that don't have water, for like us now, because our water is literally poison.
We were trying to solve the Africa water crisis on
We
one
were.
episode.
And you wanted everyone to be connected to the ocean.
I said let's get the water from the ocean,
Yeah.
but you're saying let's just make the water from scratch.
Let's just take hydrogen that's in our
Yeah, like
atmosphere,
let's get the ingredients of water as
oxygen
if you're making
in
a
our
cake
atmosphere.
and put it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Just like I have a little machine in my house that hypothetically
Yeah,
collects hydrogen and oxygen, and then I just like,
it's everywhere.
yeah.
I don't have a good reason why we can't do that. I'm gonna make a note for us later
Yeah, ask AI
like
that later.
invent water later. Because if we can invent water,
Like, can we not bound these elements together?
like I wish I could say one thing about it. It sounds very promising to me.
Right?
It sounds super awesome.
Like it's weird that it's like even like carbon, we say like, well, if diamonds are sheer like just carbon, why can't we make like diamonds? Just like grab some carbon, make a diamond. But it's like we can't. We do that all the time. we make synthetic diamonds with carbon.
Right.
So it's like if we can make carbon into a diamond, why can we not take hydrogen and oxygen, like two of the most common elements? Why can't we turn that into blood?
I wish I could argue against it, but if you put me in the desert
Yeah,
and you said you have to make a cake right now,
yeah,
I'd say, okay, I need some flour, I need some butter, I need some sugar. What are the ingredients of cake?
yeah,
What are the ingredients of water?
yeah,
Hydrogen, two.
yeah.
Oxygen, one. So if you were like in the middle of the desert, make some water for me right now.
Just grab some hydrogen and
Give me the
oxygen.
ingredients.
Yeah.
Let me put them together.
Like, can we not do that? Can we not? Like, chemists can't put two elements together.
I guess for diamonds, you need some like
The
extreme amount of
pressure,
pressure.
yes,
So
which is
maybe
why we can make
there's
synthetic ones, but we can't make regular ones.
so maybe there's some process that it would need to go through that we can replicate
Is
in
that
order
true?
to fuse the two H's with the one
And it's
O.
like, why are we
But
not working on that?
I'm just reaching for
Yeah,
reasons here. I
we'll have to get it in
I have
fast
on my,
track
my
it
to-do
to
list for later is
yeah,
invent water.
yeah.
Um,
All right, so yeah, so back here,
rating,
what do you got here?
rating, and overall thoughts. Generally, I really enjoyed it, whether you have back pain or not. I think
Yeah,
if
I
you
thought it was
have back
good. Yeah,
pain,
yeah.
it's like if someone I knew had back pain, I'd say read
I
this
totally
before
agree.
you do anything.
Yes.
Whether or not it changes your mind or not, it's just good to get a sense of what's out there.
Yeah.
But as someone who's kind of overcome a lot of back pain and isn't in the market right now, I still really much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Learned a lot I didn't know about. She did a great job of like, I mean, crazy amount of research clearly went into it.
Yeah.
She wasn't like cutting corners. She tried. I think she had a spine surgery at one point. She tried every single one of these like different exercise things she talked about. So she wasn't like going purely based off interviews. She was also doing a lot of this stuff,
No, totally.
which
Which I kind of like. Yeah.
I liked a lot. Um, so at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious that it was just like a back pain book at first
Yeah.
because it was like not what we were intending to do with like the Luigi stuff.
No.
So rating is so hard for me, but the number I kind of had in my head was it might be two, maybe, but what should I say?
Yeah.
4.4.
Wow.
Was that too
That's
high?
it's it's not too high, but it's high.
I
So I,
just
I originally had
I
I,
hate like comparing to other books,
I know.
kind of, and being like, because then like
It's
this book
different
was
too.
good
Yeah.
on its own, so I want to like give it
Yeah.
that the props.
I don't think it's too high. I originally had a 4.3.
Okay, so
But
we're like
then, kind of as we were going through it, and as I was kind of going through my notes, I kind of wrote in here that the second half kind of really fell off a little bit. I thought,
that's common in books too. It
yeah, it
seems.
is. So then I kind of dropped it down to like a 4.19,
Okay.
but
So we end up at a four, or
I think
the
it's somewhere in between. Yeah,
right. So we end up at like a 4.3
yeah,
if we average those two together and do some rounding.
yeah, 4.3, 4.29.
Good 4.3. I think that's pretty right. I mean, that's
It
good
was a
score.
good standalone book too, that it's like on a totally different topic than we would typically read. I do think you're right. Like if someone was struggling with back pain, I would say absolutely you need to read this
It's a
book.
must read if you have
Yeah.
back pain.
But I wouldn't say if you don't, it wasn't like shocking where I was like holy shit, is that real? You know?
But the only thing I would say to that is if we weren't so knowledgeable about our
Yes.
next topic and
Yeah.
we had just read this, I
Yeah.
think the shock factor would have been higher.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just more of like the
And we talk
order of
about that all the
books. Yeah.
time, yeah. Like dissolving illusions, I think all time will probably go down as our lowest rating of something that's publicly rated much higher. And it's
And if it was the first one
solely,
we read, it would have
yes,
been a no
and
doubt.
it's solely because we had already read two or three vaccine books before we even got there.
Yeah,
Like we had already read
100%.
Love and Aaron Long.
So it's hard to judge books based on its own merits because now
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
we're on a journey here.
Yeah, we are.
And the next step on the journey is a big
Boundary.
step.
Oh, bring
This
it up, man.
is so we read The Real Anthony Fauci by RFK, right? I
Yeah,
didn't even write that down.
yeah.
Um, and again, we couldn't even remember how we ended up wanting to choose this book, but we just threw it in there.
I think it's been on our list for a while.
Been on the
And
list. I
like,
think Call maybe suggested us to put it even on the list.
yeah, we've been spinning the wheel for the last few to like get book selections, and this one I think Fauci had been on the wheel a few times and didn't get picked.
I think that was it.
I even went to my notes, like I just grabbed a piece of paper from my desk and it was like my top three from like
Yeah,
maybe like 7 months ago, and the Fauci one was on it. So it's just funny, like what you put in your top three is like, oh, I want to read this, and then it doesn't get picked. It doesn't. The wheel doesn't.
if the wheel doesn't choose it, then
No.
it's gonna get back into the list. And
So I think we were just like, okay, it fits with what we're doing. It fits, and it's time. It was a long one. It was.
it's long. It's
I did on
27 hours audio. I did
audio. Yeah.
audio for this one. I did Kindle for Crooked, audio for this one.
Crooked I actually had the hard copy and the audio, which I actually love, like being able to, when you actually have time to read, to actually sit down and read a chapter here and there. But I want to start doing that more.
The invention that we need is a way to be able to do both, where you can read
Yeah,
and then pick up where you left off on audio
yeah.
if you're
Instead
going
of
for a walk or
finding it,
something.
you
And
have to go chapter by chapter. Is really the
right,
only way to
and
do it.
then if you're going to put in the audio, then you can go pick back up the book,
It's
and
pretty good invention.
that's a good invention,
Yeah,
right?
like I would think AI would do that pretty easily.
So, so I put that next to water. I
Yeah,
think soon.
in case the water doesn't work out.
Um, so this is Fauci, like, it's a long book. There's a lot here. I don't want to skip anything.
Really not a lot of fluff in here.
Not a lot of fluff. He,
Like really jumps around to different things, but also like really goes after Fauci and Bill Gates in about six different chapters.
yeah, so like my first note is like, this is a total like annihilation. Like this is a takedown of like
Fauci and Gates.
every part of like his career, his
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
He called it like
Oh, I
short
know.
like 50
Yeah.
times. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't like holding back at all.
No.
And
And he went back to his like basketball days, averaging 10
yeah,
points.
he's
Yeah.
literally calling out his like college
Yeah.
basketball stats and
Yeah.
stuff. So he didn't leave any stone unturned. And I think what like Rogan has said a bunch of times, it's like if anything in here is not true,
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
he would be sued. And the fact that
Yeah.
he hasn't been sued yet is like
especially
weird.
especially by Gates. He really goes after Gates in this book,
Yeah.
like a lot. I would almost say he goes after Gates more than he goes after
The
Fauci.
whole second half was really about Bill
Yeah,
Gates. And it's like they're like almost loosely connected. Like they're clearly connected in what he talked about,
yeah.
but like
Well, he said like they had a partnership.
right. But like you probably could have focused more on Fauci in that if he was gonna make the real Anthony Fauci as a book. But like I get why he ended up going into like all of that. So I was like,
Yeah, you're right. The title, I guess,
I mean,
it
it's
honestly maybe should have been two different books. The real Anthony Fauci, the
in the
real
real
Bill
book,
Gates.
like each 13 hour, like a
Yeah,
manageable 13
instead of
hours.
27
Um,
hours.
but basically, overall, he kind of goes into Fauci's career. I think he starts more with, he wrote this during COVID, like 2021 of COVID.
Yeah,
And it sounds like he's writing it now, knowing what we know now, what a lot of people didn't know.
yeah.
So he was a little bit ahead of his time, I think,
Especially with the vaccines
with the vaccines and a lot of
and
what was
some of the
happening with COVID,
COVID
like the
stuff.
lab
Yeah,
leak and like
yeah.
all the stuff he gets into.
Like he goes in the book that like the lab leak is more than likely the reason. And right now, like the current thing when he wrote the book was that the lab leak was more conspiracy
It was
theory and
racist to say it was
yeah,
a lab leak.
and it was all that stuff. And he was, you know,
And now that's kind of widely generally accepted
yes,
that it
yeah.
was.
And I
And
think that was a lot of the book.
yeah, and then so he went into that. I think the first part was like a lot of COVID stuff. Then he went into like the AIDS crisis and how kind of Fauci used the AIDS crisis, and we'll get into details, but it kind of went and did that. And there was a lot of the same playbooks used between AIDS and COVID in terms of gaining power and things that Fauci did, and in terms of like treatments and stuff. And then he kind of goes into like the Gates stuff in the
Yeah.
second half.
And pretty much he says that Fauci is a politician, not a scientist. And like any politician, he's good at staying in power and getting people to do things that he wants to do. And he has this like tremendous budget. So like anyone that doesn't agree, and I think this is a huge thing in science, and I've heard like a lot of scientists that go on Joe Rogan talk about that funding is the only way you can get anything done.
100%.
Like I know Hamilton Morris like is one of my favorites that goes on Joe Rogan. And he always talks about like nobody was giving funding to like study psychedelics.
Right.
And now all of a sudden people are, and now all of a sudden people are doing all these studies, but it's just like, it's crazy that you couldn't get funding for that and you couldn't just like do it yourself. So like essentially that Fauci controls this like $6 billion funding budget from the WHO or the NIH. And
Mhm.
then
Two things
yeah,
on that. First, you're right. Fauci, he's been in charge for 50 years,
yeah,
which is
it
insane for a
is.
politician.
Yeah,
So to think, and he's the highest paid government employee.
yeah.
So to think that someone can maintain that level of power for so long, you
Without
have to be
having like an ironclad,
you
yeah,
have to be some
rule.
level of like delusional where you almost can't like talk to that person. And on the second point of like the funding, I
Yeah,
think that's the biggest point, most important point about all of this stuff when we're talking about like incentives
yeah,
is the fund like it's all about funding,
yeah,
whether it's vaccines or COVID or anything else. So if you're getting a grant to study homelessness and trying to solve the problem of homelessness in a town,
yeah,
if you solve homelessness, you are unemployed.
yeah,
You are now out of a
yeah,
job. If
yeah,
you make the problem worse and say you need more money, you are now securing your income
yeah,
more so than you would be if you were solving homelessness. Same with climate change. If you're
yeah,
a climate change scientist and you do a bunch of research and you find that climate change is not a big deal, it's not that scary,
yeah,
your funding ends.
yeah,
But if you find that it's super scary and now we actually need 5 times as much funding,
yeah,
you're now richer, you have a job, your team keeps going.
yes.
Your incentive is just to continue to get funding. It's not to actually solve any
And it
problems.
does takes it full circle with like turtles and turtles all the way down in some of these vaccine books where they say like turtles was just shocking when they said there's never ever been a study where they compared vaccine use in children and completely nothing in children to then compare the two different populations.
Mm.
Never has that happened. And like even in this book, they talk about one of the trials they did in Africa where they like gave the people like a new tetanus vaccine, and then the other people got like a rabies vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And then they compared the two to just be like, oh, there's no significance in the tetanus one. It's like you're giving the other people a rabies vaccine,
Like,
which sounds
right.
like incredibly
Right.
serious, like a
Hey,
rabies vaccine. Like,
and if your goal was to solve that problem in Africa that you're trying to solve with people having these diseases, and I think he even mentioned it this way, like you have the funding to do either that study the right
yes,
way or to say, and the Africa stuff, maybe we'll say for the end, but like if a lot of the problems in Africa are because people are hungry and thirsty and there's malnutrition. And
yes,
you could feed a family for a week for $3 or
yes,
whatever it is. So you have the funding. So like
yeah,
instead of doing that and actually making them healthy and making them better, you're doing these like
yeah,
fake ass studies so that
yeah.
way you can dump a bunch of vaccines on them that weren't FDA approved.
And that was polio. They talked about polio in this book, and some of the
Yeah.
countries that they do still have polio cases. It's like in all those countries, they're third world countries, and it's like we'd solve that with polio. We had solved that when we stopped letting people just like shit in buckets and dump their shit on the street.
It's people all around.
Yes, and then just like grab their water also from the same street and then drink that water. And
Right.
it's like once we realized like we invented toilets and like became not
Yeah.
a third world population, it's like all of a sudden polio was like zero.
Yep.
And it's like even if you got polio, your immune system was strong enough to fight it off where it wouldn't be a problem.
Because
So
you're
like nobody was getting
investigates your
paralyzed,
gut.
nobody
Yep.
was dying from polio. Polio was just like essentially getting a cold.
Yep.
And it's like the only places that still have polio, are places that are still doing that, or still places that don't have sewers, they don't have uh they're not washing their hands and doing that stuff. Like they're literally slaughtering an animal
Yep.
and then cooking it, not washing their hands.
Right. And then
And then
delivering a
going
baby
over,
later,
yes,
like
yeah, and then
later in the
going over
day.
to the river and grabbing their water with their dirty animal, like,
Yeah, 100%.
and it's just like, yeah, like we already cured that, and it's like insane that all the studies they'll be like, oh, the polio studies, and it'll be like comparing the polio vaccine to like,
The DTP vaccine, which has
yes,
since been pulled
yes,
for
and
not
it's
being
just
safe.
like, yeah, none of them are safe. It's like the live virus or the dead virus is not the problem. The problem is the things that you're putting into the vaccine to get the immune response. The mercury, that like the whatever aluminum now that we
Aluminum.
switched to, and it's just like, yeah, those are the things. It's like if you're putting something into your body that's gonna have this like immediate immune response, it's like, yeah, that's probably
Right.
not good.
So yeah, now you're circumventing your body's natural immune response to
Yes.
something with some kind of fake response, and your body is normal way of doing something is getting sick, learning how to fight it, and then like you're
Yeah.
essentially training your immune system. So that's why like getting chickenpox is good, and you have a chickenpox party. That's why getting measles is good, and you have a measles party because now your body recognizes measles, and you have
Yeah.
100% immunity to it, and potentially there's less likely chances that you're going to have other sicknesses in life because now your immune system is like that much better.
Yeah.
Instead, you're just completely circumventing that whole process,
And probably like destroying your immune system over time and
destroying it because now your immune
yeah.
system doesn't know what's good, what's bad, what's coming in. Things don't make sense to it.
And
It
half
doesn't know
the
how to fight like real actual
yeah.
things that come.
And that was like the point, especially at the end, he started talking about like essentially that if you get a vaccine for something and then you encounter the wild thing, you're like 10 times more likely to die in a lot of those trials, which is just like absurd that it's like you get,
Hmm.
and then even with the polio, like I don't even know where I wrote it in the notes, probably towards the end, but it's just like polio's gone and um yeah, and like it was something like oh, here it is. Polio was extinct until the polio vaccine reintroduced it.
Hmm.
70% of all cases from polio are from the vaccine.
Yeah,
Like it was literally like the cases of
they
polio,
create.
while yeah, we're like almost zero. And then 70% of all polio cases are cases from
They,
getting the vaccine, which is
yeah, because
absurd.
they brought the live oral polio vaccine
Back.
virus to
Yeah.
India to try to solve it. I think I wrote it down
Which is the
somewhere.
DVC capital of the
I think
world, I
in
know that.
DVT capital of the world. I think they had it was something like stupid, like 200 cases of polio
Yeah.
for a billion people,
Yeah.
and they brought the oral polio virus there, and then they started. It wasn't working. It was giving people polio,
Yeah.
and they started to up the doses because they're like, oh, clearly you need another dose. Good.
Yeah.
They're giving people 50 plus doses of this oral vaccine.
It's absurd.
Like, that's come on.
I
But
know.
to tie back,
Yeah, let's go all the way back to the beginning here.
yeah, like so.
Fauci
This is so
running
much in this book.
NIH.
Fauci's running the
Let's talk
NIH,
about the PIs.
the PIs.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like we have the vaccine episode.
yeah,
It's like it's so hard for me to not go down that because it's like my favorite topic.
I know.
Um, he has the PIs who essentially are like almost like hired thugs.
Yes, they're like running trials. This is the NIH. So it's like
Yes,
these PIs work for the NIH. They work for Fauci, who runs the NIH, which is supposed to be the National Institute of Health.
right.
And like those titles, like I feel like used to kind of mean something where it's like, okay, the NIH, the FDA,
Yeah,
the WHO, like
yep.
World Health Organization. It's like, yeah, but like those are good things. All just like crooked government agencies where they're like funneling money essentially to billionaires through these
Their
studies and
goal is
like
to get the most funding that they.
yes. And so like the NIH is essentially working for pharma now. So like these PIs, these like private, what do you call them?
Inspectors.
Something like that. But essentially, it's like if they find something in
Yes.
the course of their work, if they like find some molecule or something, or like come across something that they think might be valuable, they like lease it out to the vaccine companies. And then the vaccine companies then in turn make something and then like lease it back to them to then study it for efficacy. And like they then have stake because they leased it out to the pharmaceutical companies that if it does like get accepted and they find some benefit, then all of a sudden it's like they profit off of it.
100%. Those were my first notes were I didn't know the CDC and the NIH own patents on
Yeah.
vaccines,
Insane.
which is I don't think anyone knows that.
And like Fauci invested
It's
six
like
million dollars into Moderna. Like what? The guy that's on TV that works for the government that's telling us to get the vaccines has $6 million invested in Moderna.
it's like it's almost so much stuff in this book that I'm not even able to like talk about it because
Yeah.
it's like I get so fired up.
Yeah.
But like so the NIH owns patents on vaccines. So now they make money anytime someone gets the vaccine
Yeah.
or one of these drugs. So like their incentive, the National Institute of Health, is to keep everyone sick and
Yes.
needing to get more vaccines or
Yeah.
drugs because they are actually just a business that owns patents like any other business could.
Yes.
No one knows. I did not know that.
No.
No one knows more than us about vaccines.
No.
That's never come up.
And the WHO too, it kind of sounds like Bill Gates owns it,
Yeah, oh, he owns
right? Like it almost
almost a
like
little bit of everything that he needs to own
I
to
thought the
get.
WHO was like the world leaders got together and just like threw their best scientists into like some organization called the WHO that was like focused on like making
Helping
people healthy.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
But it
again, I
turns out
thought that
that's
my whole life.
turns out that's not what it
It's
is
not
at
even
all.
close.
Yeah,
It's like
it's pretty much it sounded like from this book that Bill Gates like donated $100 million either to start it or essentially donated $100 million to it. And by giving it $100 million, essentially gained complete control over it.
because it's just the promise of like more funding and now you can do
Yes,
this and you can do that, but you have to make sure it's in line with what he needs. What he
yes,
needs is, oh, I have this stake in Moderna, I have this
yes,
stake in Merck, I
yeah,
have this stake in GlaxoSmithKline,
yes,
and I have this stake in Microsoft, and this
yes,
stake in Facebook
yeah,
and Google,
yeah.
and it's like you're one of the
Absurd.
majority shareholders now in all of these
Yeah.
things, and you're able to pull the strings in a way that
And they kept,
increases the value for
yeah.
all of those things at the same time.
And they kept mentioning UNICEF in there as well, which I thought was hilarious because, like, I'd heard that UNICEF was like a giant scam, and that's why people stopped collecting. But like, what media coverage did that get?
None of this
I can't
because
remember one. Like, who? So who went to jail for UNICEF? Who was involved? Who were the top 20 donators, collectors? Like, who were the people running UNICEF? Like, you said it was a scam, and we're not collecting for UNICEF on Halloween anymore, like we used to. But like,
Mhm.
who's in jail?
It's one of my biggest problems with this stuff, the back stuff, what's happening in real life in like the government right now is
Yeah,
like no one gets in trouble for anything.
I know.
We get
And like some journalist is risking their life, like uncovering the UNICEF scandal, like actually risking their life.
oh yeah, like one of the few good journalists left.
Yes,
Like
yeah. And like finds this out, and then it doesn't even get picked up by the media because it's like, why would it? Bill Gates owns half the
right,
media company.
it's like how and again like for like the back pain thing or like the opioid thing like you're the Sackler family because they're like the easy scapegoat on the opioids.
They really are.
Um,
And they really shouldn't
you
be. The
get like
more I dive into this,
it's everyone.
I'm starting to be pro Sack.
Should we be pro
I
Sackler?
like think they're taking a beating for this
It's
because the problem isn't them. The problem is the system. But the system is trying to pretend like it's them, which almost makes me feel bad for them. That it's like the problem was the WHO. The problem was the FDA. The problem was the doctors. The problem was like that was the problem.
100%.
Like
We're pro Sackler
I
now?
think we're pro
I'm
Sackler.
down.
Yeah. I mean, we always like
We have to
Ardmore.
be in the other,
Yeah.
we like the
Yeah,
Fire
we
Flush.
always liked him.
But I think what I was thinking is like these people, someone for these things needs to be punished.
So
Because
that he
like,
stopped doing it.
but like, it's not even just like, oh, we're manipulating the system a little bit to make profits. Like, you're like killing millions of people.
I
It's
know.
like massive murder, like population extinction
I
level
know.
things. And it's just like, what's it like fine them like $20 million?
I
It's
know.
like the punishment doesn't fit the crime here. Like,
And this is
you
why,
have someone who is like falsely accused of murder that gets like lethal injection
yeah,
versus like someone who's responsible for like 100 million
mass
people dying
genocide.
or
Yeah,
something.
I
Like,
know.
my God, they
I
get
it's like it
it's
is
crazy.
disturbing.
But like, if is Bill Gates responsible for like 1 billion people dying or something? Like,
Yeah,
what's the punishment for that? Like, he gets richer.
I know.
Like it's just weird because he owns like the media companies.
And that's the thing is like, and this is why I have the biggest problem with the media and all that stuff is like the Nazis and how they're covered for these human experiments. Like just freezing people to death to see how long like it would take to freeze them. And like we were saying how like essentially how horrible the Nazis were.
Right.
But then we also like literally took all their pharma companies, like Merck and
Bayer
Bayer
and
and
all the other
yeah, and then literally
scientists and start
yes,
NASA.
and literally continue to do the exact same thing. Like we're still like testing on people, like they're guinea pigs, and like
They're
the
just in
only
Africa now
yes, the
instead of
only difference
Poland.
is yeah,
That's
yes,
literally
the only difference is they're not Jewish people. They're literally just in Africa.
they're African people.
Yeah, And like we're doing it with some corrupt Ugandan president that accepts $100 million for us to then
Yeah.
take a bunch of
He even said in his book,
17-year-old
the guy
girls.
Lumumba, we read
Yes.
about in Devil's Chessboard,
Yeah.
who was like the first like democratic person in the Congo, and
Yes. Who
the
said he was going to
CIA
return
took
the
him
wealth
out
and all that
because they
stuff. Yeah.
so like they're in the what is the what book club meeting we were talking about like how to save Africa and like
Yeah.
what is actually going on here? Like is it really like
Yeah.
it might just be Bill Gates.
Bill Gates is certainly not helping.
He's not
Yeah.
he might be the
He's
only
not helping.
reason, but he's certainly part of it.
Yeah.
Should
I
we
think the CIA probably is the other part too. Every time, like the Nelson Mandela thing was fascinating in this book too. They talked about how what do you say about Mandela?
I don't remember him
It was kind of towards the end, but it was pretty much just like I have so many notes I
well, we'll
can't
get to
remember.
Africa. Maybe it'll come back to
Okay,
you. Should we
yeah,
start with COVID? Because that's where the book kind of started.
yeah,
And because it's so hard to even think about it. Like, in COVID too, like, I don't want to toot my own horn too much because
yeah,
I'm wrong about almost everything all
yeah.
the time, constantly.
Same.
I was early in COVID, accurate, I think,
You were on it.
about how dumb everything was. Because again, it was just like listening to what people were saying
Yeah,
and using my eyes, where they had this like very like scary stuff on the news about death counters and
yeah,
stuff and how bad everything is and how sick everyone was. And then they start doing these weird things where they start saying 6 feet social distance, distancing,
yeah,
and they write like you put these circles in the ground for people to sit in, and you're not allowed to go to funeral or they were like putting I understand a picture of like the wood and like the basketball hoops like
yeah,
kids can't play basketball or they're
yeah,
dumping sand in a skate
yeah.
ramp, but then it's like or you can't go to church, but then it's like alcohol stores are
Oh
open.
yeah, you can walk to the liquor store.
And it's like I was cool with that because I wanted to do that close
Me too.
store,
Yeah,
but I was like at least able to know like, well, this doesn't make sense because if it's actually such a scary disease that we can't go outside
yeah.
and go to a funeral, then I shouldn't be able to go to the liquor stores. Like both
No,
those things can't exist at the same time.
can't go to the gym, but I can go to the liquor store.
Right. Like that, it can't exist at the same time and have it make sense.
Can't go to the park. I tried to work out in the park one day with like bands because they closed the gyms, and a
Nice.
cop pulled up and goes like, "You can't be working out here." And then after that, I was like, "Okay, what can I do?" And then in my head, I was like, "I still drink in my apartment and play video games."
Yeah, right. I
Pretty
could
much like
pop
that. Yeah,
painkillers inside and stare
yeah,
at my TV. So like very quickly I was like, this doesn't make sense just because of all these things can't be true at the same time. Like
yeah,
it can't be true that a disease is so scary and deadly, and there might be a disease that's scary and deadly at some
yeah.
point, and we all have to stay home or something, where you can go to a restaurant, but you just have to take your mask off when you sit down. Like it just didn't make sense right
No,
away, and I don't understand.
none of it.
And again, if people were doing it and I did it too, sometimes I wore masks to like go to a grocery store to
Yeah,
get food, which I regret even doing. But the fact that everyone was like so cool with it
yeah.
is like insane because it just literally like it doesn't make sense. Like Kyrie Irving
Oh, I know.
was
Not allowed to play in games, but he was allowed to sit
he sat
courtside.
front row at
Yeah,
a game he wasn't allowed to play. So like again, I get people will say like, well, it was real time. We were in real time here and we were trying to figure things out. Like,
no, and
it
there was
doesn't take a genius to
no,
think of the Kyrie Irving
yes, and there
can't
was a
play, you
very
know.
clear smear campaign for anyone that was anti-vax. Anyone that was like informed and was like, "Oh, I'm not going to take the vaccine," whether it was like Joe Rogan, Kyrie Irving, Aaron Rodgers. There was a media smear campaign like I'd never really seen before.
But
Like the Joe Rogan one was crazy, where they
crazy.
literally like changed the video to make it look more
Changed
orangey.
his face color.
Yes, to make him look like sicker than he was, and he was like podcasting the next day and was like literally looked like
He's like, yeah, like I'm
a
fine.
hundred
I'm
bucks.
working
I'm
out
a hundred
again.
percent.
I felt
Yeah,
a little sick for a day.
yeah. He was like, I was sick for a couple weeks, and
And again, it
I was
ties
sick for a
into
week, and I'm fine.
this where it's like, and again, I had
Like that is so
I wasn't
blatant, like
anti-vax
propaganda though.
at all.
Yeah,
Right, and it's propaganda
yeah.
before, like
And we pretend like we don't do that.
when the COVID vax came out, I probably would have just got it. Like
I got it right away.
I
Yeah,
used to just get the flu shot because literally because they offered it at work and
yeah,
I could get off the desk for like 15 minutes. Like
yeah.
that's how much thought I put
I
into like
know.
vaccines.
Yeah,
And then the COVID shot came out. But what and my only take downside from this book was that he didn't mention, and I get why he didn't mention it, was before when Trump was president,
yeah.
Kamala, Biden, every single news outlet was like, I will not take a Trump
Oh, I
vaccine.
know.
I will
Yeah,
not take a Trump vaccine. I will not put that in my arm. You're crazy if you do that. The second Biden won
yeah,
and went in, they continued the whole vaccine push that they were
yeah.
doing. And every single person completely flipped a
I know.
180 and said, to what you were saying is,
Yeah.
you're anti-vaxxer if you don't get it. So that was the first red flag for me. I was like, well, everyone just, and no one else somehow noticed that every single person in charge just completely changed their view with no reason
No.
behind it.
And then the logic also doesn't make any sense. You're selling this vaccine and putting off this vaccine as if you get this vaccine, you will not get COVID.
Everyone said it. Biden said it.
Yes.
Rachel Maddow said it.
So then you're going after Aaron Rodgers and Kyrie Irving and Joe Rogan saying they're not getting the vaccine, they're putting us at danger. Well, it's like, well, if I just got the vaccine and it doesn't allow me to get COVID, then they're not putting me at danger.
What's the danger?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And
It's
then
like the only danger would be to them. And if they die, then you can be
you
like,
got
oh, I don't care
100%
that they
effective
died. Yeah.
vaccine. So, right. So then they make you feel that way and they put a campaign on against you if you have any questions. Because then they say, if you get the vaccine, the virus stops with you. You
Yeah.
cannot get sick. You cannot transmit it. They
Yes.
said that as a fact
Yeah.
to everyone. And then, God forbid, any person starts using their eyes
Yeah.
and looking around and saying, wait, I'm seeing people who got the vaccine get COVID. I'm seeing people who get the vaccine probably transmit COVID
Yeah.
because now everyone's getting it and everyone's vaccinated. And there's now all of a sudden like the goalpost is changing and
And
no
the
one is
vaccine
stopping to think of
and the
being like,
vaccine injuries too. Like I know even Kev was probably 19 at the time, healthy, fit,
fit,
basketball player, and like his whole face got swollen.
really,
Yeah, and like his other friend, Dean, I remember seeing him at the basketball courts after he got the vaccine, and like his face was bad. Like
really,
it looked like he had been like almost beaten a crap. Like his face was swollen.
really.
Not like swollen like Kev's I think swelling was more like like you'd notice it if you knew him well. Like his friend was like, you'd like I wouldn't go out like if my face was that swollen. Like it
Really?
was bad. And like these are two like 19-year-old kids that are in good shape that
Right,
are
that are
having like
no risk of the
yes,
disease that's in question.
yes.
And now you're putting them at risk for something that clearly we know is like not tested well
It's just in
and not communicated
it
well to
was insane.
people.
And then it was like and I get it because it's like people just move on so quickly. Like after it was over, Rogers kind of wanted to go on like Pat McAfee and he wanted to go on Joe Rogan. He wanted to go on those shows and be like, I told you guys I was right. And I think for the most part, like people didn't want to hear it.
They got pushback for every I
Yeah.
think.
And I get it because it's like, yeah, I mean, you don't want someone like that talking about it, but also it's like, I totally get it from Aaron Rodgers' standpoint and Kyrie's standpoint. Like,
They
if
have
80% of the
such
population got it, they don't want to hear these people go on a media campaign talking about how they were right the whole time and you got the vaccine. People don't want to hear that had gotten the vaccine.
100%.
And even people that didn't don't need to hear it because it's like they're just happy enough that they were kind of right that they didn't get it. But
But
it's
that's
it's crazy too that like even then it's like it wasn't a big enough deal that it was like we didn't go back and like
there's no
the
accountability.
president didn't offer an apology to Kyrie Irving or Aaron Rodgers. No,
Right.
who's giving them an apology?
No, and they got treated like shit the whole
Yes,
time. And they
they
weren't the
got
only ones. There was
smeared. Like
Novak
they started
Djokovic,
talking about
like
Kyrie.
everyone
Yeah,
now hates him. He's
I
the best
know.
tennis player in the
Yeah,
world.
and
Like
handled it
um,
literally perfectly. Where he said exactly what he should have said, which is I consulted with my doctors and my medical team, and they told me like I'm not at risk of serious injury, so I'd rather not put anything in my body that I
right,
don't
and he
otherwise
didn't
trust.
even like again, and like I don't think any of those people were even like demonizing people who did get it in the
Yeah.
same way. They were kind of just like, this was the best decision for me. I think everyone should make the
Yes.
best decision for them.
Yes.
They weren't like
No.
it was only like a one way
Yeah.
hate
I
stream,
know.
you know?
Like Rogers, I could see maybe the deception that he said something about like I was immunized, which like led people to
For
believe that he's
sure.
vaccinated and
Yeah,
like
that, like we don't know if that was his intention or not,
yes, and
or
and I could see you try like if you plan on smearing a guy, I could see that being cause to then be like, okay, nice, like here's our angle. You know, his teammates thought he was vaccinated, so they were probably spending time with him. But it's again, it just
it's
like
yeah, it's a
over
stretch.
yes, it
Yeah,
overlooks the main idea, which is if his teammates got the vaccine and the vaccine protected you from getting COVID, who gives a shit whether someone else, like on your team, gets the vaccine or not?
100%. And like my whole reason for like ranting about like the COVID stuff is like kind of what he talked about in this book was like there's a playbook here that these people in power use to drum up fear around these pandemics and things that
Yeah,
happen in these outbreaks. And it's so effective to the point where 99% of the population doesn't believe
yeah,
their own eyes and ears and what they are experiencing in life. They're
yeah.
just going to believe what's on the TV.
I mean, fear is like the most powerful motor. Like when I remember at the onset of COVID, like when it happened so quick.
Everyone in turn, again,
We were
to
in
those
we
playback
were in
in lockstep.
school. Yeah, we were
Boom.
in school
That
and like
day,
I
the
remember
basketball games ended. The
yeah.
TV started to do
Yes.
this. Every single channel started to say the same
Yeah.
things. It wasn't like
I wasn't
every
on
article
yeah, and
the
I wasn't
same.
on social media and I wasn't watching the news like when COVID first started. So all the information I was getting was from this woman at work. And she would just be like, "Did you hear about this thing coming out of China?" And I was just be like, "No." And then like a week later, she'd be like, "I think it's getting pretty serious. Like it's in the US now." And I would just be like, "Oh, that's crazy." And then like a couple of days after that, she was like, I think we might get out of school. And I just remember being like, no, we're not getting out of school. Like we've
Same.
never gotten out of school for that. And it was like the next day, we I think what happened was at the end of that day, our principal said, start putting together packets for the kids in case we need to go virtual. You guys have 2 weeks to make these packets, like make
Mhm.
a packet for like at least like 3 weeks. I come in the next day. The next day, we were
Yeah.
supposed to have 2 weeks. The principal's at the swipe machine, and she goes like, "The kids are getting out at 12 o'clock today.
That was the day.
Send the
Yeah.
packets home."
That was the day. Those are
Yeah,
the Big East games. We were thinking of going to the Big East game at
yeah,
Madison Square Garden, Big East tournament. They started the first game and then they canceled it. They
crazy.
had the 12 o'clock game
Yeah,
because it was like something went out.
yeah,
But again, the fact that they can now, right, they're striking up this fear, but like they're saying like hospitals are overrun, everyone's sick and dying, like all the stuff, everyone's freaking out about this stuff, wiping down groceries. And it's like, if you just go outside, like everyone's fine.
I know.
No, like I walked by a hospital, it's like no one was
And
there.
it was
I was
even
like,
like,
what's I was
I
like,
know.
wait, what? Like everyone's fine.
Yeah,
Like I don't understand what's going on. So like
and
and
everyone was talking to people who were just like, who do you know that died? There was never a direct link. Like it would just be
mm,
like I remember the closest thing I had to a link was there was a funeral place right outside where I was living at the time, and like I remember hearing from someone that the guy that ran the funeral home, like 40 years old, died of COVID. But it's also like if he was 40 years old, Italian, running a funeral home,
bam,
like the
a lot
chances
of
of it,
mozzarella.
yes, it's like the chances of him dying of COVID and the chance of him
Right.
dying from like a drug overdose or some other
And
cause.
then they, so that's when they kind of get into the
Yes.
propaganda
Yeah.
piece of this and like how the psyops are so
And
strong.
again, it's like you're hearing that from someone else. Like nobody knew this guy. Like I didn't know this
Right.
guy. I didn't know someone who knew
That
this
happened
guy
a
well.
lot,
It was
especially in
just
the
like
beginning.
you heard from someone
Right.
else, and it's just like you didn't even know who you heard it from.
So I think the stat is like 96% of COVID deaths had four or more COVID comorbidities.
Yeah.
So I can even name four comorbidities. I can name
Yeah.
like diabetes,
Yeah.
overweight,
Yeah.
those are probably related, maybe old. So like,
But I had a woman that
and
was
again,
living.
like it's bad if people did die of COVID because there was maybe like, but it's bad if people die of the flu
I
or
know.
something like that. And so to make this amount of fear over that. Like no one knew at the
Yeah.
time that that was the stat. But
Yeah.
that they knew it was the
I
stat.
know.
They just purposely didn't tell you it was the
And
stat.
like my grandma was in Florida and was like 90 years old and was like didn't die. There was a woman that lived underneath where I was living that was like probably 80 years old, but looked like she was 200 years old because she was a smoker. And it was like with the way they were talking about COVID, she was smoking like 2 packs of cigarettes
Yeah.
a day. I was just like, this woman's gonna be dead in days. And it was like she didn't die within the first 4 months that we were totally off. She didn't die the entire next year that we were under the
Right.
loose lockdowns. And I was just like, Jesus, like who's dying? If this
Right.
woman that's like 80 years old and a lifetime smoker and like she didn't eat, she was like probably 100, she was probably like 85 pounds. And it's just like, if
Yeah.
she's not dead, who's dying?
People who are dying are people who are getting addicted to painkillers or committing suicide because they can't see their family and they're having
Yeah,
no social connection or they're
I know.
becoming alcoholics or like
Yeah.
or they're losing their
And
jobs.
it was
Like
supposed to be this like crazy thing that was like spreading like crazy. And it was like, I remember finding out that I like wasn't going home unless I like hadn't left my house for like 2 weeks. And if I hadn't left my house for 2 weeks and I had no symptoms, I'd feel comfortable like going home and seeing my parents.
yep.
And I found out Kev, who was living at home, was playing pickup basketball every single day before. And Lauren, who was close to my
Yeah.
parents, was going to the gym every day and
Yeah.
going home.
Yeah.
And it was like my parents still didn't get it. So it was just like this
Yeah. And
insane.
everyone just ignored what was actually
I
happening
know.
in their life and around them. And was just like, because that's how strong like
And we
the
stayed virtual.
propaganda
Yeah,
is.
the propaganda was enough that it was like we didn't go
Super
back to
virtual.
school for a year and a half.
It's insane
Yeah,
that it was able to last that long, and a lot of people still think that that was like the right thing to do,
yeah,
or should still be happening, or even like worse and crazier.
yeah.
Meanwhile, the U.S. So then there's a whole thing about like all the treatments he gets into, which is like, okay, now let's go. There's this disease.
Yeah.
0% of what is talked about is how to get healthy, how to have a strong immune system, how to bolster yourself in a way that
And
will
Rogan
help
said
you.
that right away.
Right.
Like right away.
And everything kind of goes into
Remdesivir versus
treatments
yeah,
and how can we, what's the magic pill
yeah.
for this? This is like before the vaccine. It's like really, really early days. So
And the hydro H
hydroxychloroquine.
yeah,
So like I enjoyed this part. I didn't know a lot about these types of things. Um, so hydroxychloroquine,
the trial.
the
The drug trial. Where they like purposely gave them lethal doses and they were just like
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I didn't know that that was like around forever and was completely considered safe before COVID. The
Yeah.
first time I heard of it was like during COVID.
Is that the horse warmer?
That's
Is
ivermectin.
okay,
That I'll get to that one
yeah,
next. But yeah, so hydroxychloroquine, 2 months before COVID started in January 2020,
yeah,
they make it's right. It's over the counter, so you
yeah.
can just go in and get it. They make it not over the counter. Maybe a coincidence.
Hold on, I gotta catch this and I gotta pee so bad because we're coming up on 2 hours.
Yeah, I got a PT
All right, let me
because I
pee
don't think we
first.
have the capability to
Yeah.
pause it. So I'll just give an overview of. Let me structure this out for us. 'Cause there's so much in this book; it's actually crazy. I think what we're gonna do is talk through hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and remdesivir, which are like the treatment parts of COVID before the vaccine. Then we dive into the vaccine itself. Then we got to get into AIDS, which is actually crazy because I'm so fired up about COVID, I forgot about AIDS. And there's a lot about AIDS here to get into. We talked about Bill Gates a lot, and then um, I want to also talk about the other pandemics before COVID that came that were kind of like primers almost for the response and like some of the simulations that they run before COVID, literally the year before COVID, how they exactly somehow simulated what would happen during COVID to like the day and predicted all of that because again, this is my favorite topic. I'm super passionate about it for some reason because it was like the one thing I was right about, and I still understand how everyone's not like. 'Cause when I'm wrong about something, I'm the first one to be like, I was way off on that. Like
Yeah,
I said, I mean, maybe this doesn't hold up that true right now. I said Anthony Davis was not a good prospect in Kentucky. I
yeah.
said that's a bad number one pick. He's not going to be good in the NBA. and he was really good in the NBA before the
Yeah,
injuries. And
yeah.
maybe right now it's not the best example because he's
No,
kind of
I
on the
think it's the
down.
right
He's
example.
low value.
He's a stud, but injury wise, just
And I'm
irrelevant.
the first person to say I was wrong about
Yeah,
Anthony Davis at Kentucky. He was a good NBA prospect, but
yeah.
like for some reason I'm gonna be too with COVID. And
Well,
you
that's what I mean. It's like there was nobody coming out and just being like, "Hey, I know we spent the last 2 months just absolutely attacking Kyrie Irving and Aaron Rodgers and anyone else that was anti-vax, Joe Rogan, and it's like it actually turned out it was probably from a lab. It actually turns out that the vaccine doesn't actually prevent you from getting COVID and is really an unnecessary risk. Like there was no going back and being like, "Hey, I'm sorry, guys. Like we were actually really hard on you, and we shouldn't have been. We were all just really afraid of COVID. Like I think even that would have made me respect it a little bit to the point where like I would have been like, okay, I maybe can identify that with that a little bit. That it's like kind of with what like Fauci said about the mask early, which was like the masks don't prevent you from aren't going to help you from getting COVID. And then he was like, actually, they are going to help you, but we didn't want to say that they were going to help you because we didn't want you guys buying all the masks online so that our hospitals couldn't get them and all this stuff. But then it also turns out the masks don't help you from preventing COVID. So it's just like, but at least like if you have a reason behind like smearing Rodgers and Kyrie, and then you come out and say like, hey, turns out I was really afraid the whole time and I think everyone was afraid, and anyone that wasn't buying into the vaccine, like I was, just attacking, and I'm sorry for attacking you for that.
if
But it's
some
just like nobody went back and apologized for
if
it.
someone came out and said, "Hey, I would just got that completely wrong," I
Yes,
would not think twice about it. I'd be like,
yeah.
"Yeah, that's totally
Hey, we
cool,
overreacted
whatever."
because we were so afraid we really thought this vaccine was going to work, and we're sorry about
No
it.
problem. That's I mean,
I'd
it's
have
like
been like, okay, shit, like that sucks, but okay.
people have different feelings about like Tucker Carlson. He's like very controversial. But one thing that he says that I like is like he's like I was so wrong about the Iraq War. I went on
Yeah,
Fox News every day and I trumpeted how important it was for us to go and get weapons of mass destruction. I was
yeah,
so wrong. That's the biggest regret I
yeah,
have. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
I can respect that. Like,
yeah.
hey, cool.
And as a
Water on the
book,
bridge.
as a
Just
book
a few
club, I
million
think,
people dead.
yeah.
Water on the bridge. But again, like, yeah, just own up to it.
Yeah.
You know,
As
because
the
it's so
information
fun.
comes in, and that's the thing, is like we're in this society now where I think we expect everyone to be perfect all the time. And like I don't think you can be, especially in today's society where so much of the information you're hearing is just flat out wrong, and then new information
I
comes
think
out
if you
after the
don't
fact.
own up to it as a mistake when it's so clearly obviously wrong, it makes it very obvious that it's
Yeah.
like a
You have no
controlled
interest.
information
Yes.
type of
Yeah. You
distribution
had no interest in being right. You
or
just had an
finding out the truth,
interest.
which is where the
Yes.
journalists come into play here, where
Yeah.
it's like not because they'll go on and they'll say, "Hey, we were listening to the experts." It's like your job as a journalist is not to just listen to somebody who has a financial incentive to tell you something and
I
not ever
know.
question it. Like
I
you didn't.
know.
Your job is to find out the truth for us, or to like question it and bring it to light so that
Yeah.
people can make decisions. And you didn't do that. Like you were
Yeah.
not a journalist by having the CEO, like there was someone on the board of Pfizer, Scott Gottlieb on CNBC and asking him if we should get a Pfizer
I
shot
know.
is not journalism.
I
You know
know.
what I mean? Like having,
The Sanja Gupta one on Joe Rogan too was like I listened to that twice,
yeah,
and I was just like I think I was like sick by it.
it was, I was
Like
blown. That was
it
one of
was
the first podcasts I've ever listened to. So it was like
yeah,
during COVID, I was bored and I was like, what should I do? And someone was like, oh, listen to Rogan. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, I'll listen to that one. Like, same.
yeah.
It was
Like
like,
some of his points and some of the things he was making, and he was supposed to be this
bro,
doctor,
like
was like
have some self respect.
yes, like you
Dude,
could
bro.
tell he was intelligent, but you could also tell that he was like bought and paid for by CNN. Maybe like
So
the worst I've ever seen someone bought and
it
paid
was
for.
so it was like I was embarrassed for
Me
him,
too.
and it's like, dude, like, is it that like again at a certain point, is it that important to get like some money
Yeah.
that you're gonna take down the whole world?
Yes.
It's like you know what
Like
I
when
mean? To
Joe
make
Rogan like
everyone sick.
asked him point blank, all the science is pointing to I just had COVID, I have natural immunity, and my natural immunity is better than your vaccine
Like, why should I
immunity.
get a shot?
Yes, like and then he was just asked him like point blank, like, do you think I should get the shot right now? And he just goes like, yes, I think you should get the shot, Joe. Like, and it was just like But and then he would like follow up and just be like, but like, did you hear what I just say? And I'm like, I'm not at risk of getting COVID right now. And like he did not have one decent scientific answer for any of
Have
that
some
stuff.
self-respect.
Yeah,
Like,
it was really like it was really disturbing. And it's like you kind of know all this stuff. Like I kind of knew that the government, even since I was like 17, like I probably knew that the government didn't have everyone's best interest. Like they have their own best interest, but
mhm.
usually their own best interest is aligned enough with the people's best interest that it's okay. All of a sudden, it's like there started to be this like monetary shift in government with politicians, and all of this
Mhm.
has become intertwined where it's like their best interest is no longer our best interest.
Or you
Their
started to like find out more, maybe. You're like,
Yeah, but I think
it does feel like something's
it's
changed,
worse.
but
It's
maybe, yeah, maybe we
worse.
just know
Yeah.
more. But like, yeah, but
I mean, we would have done this 20 years ago with the kid thing was like the final straw for me with the vaccine where like they were putting ads on TV like being a vaccine hero,
oh,
like advertise to kids like get the vaccine for your kid and it's like that was so much after the fact that we already
there's
knew the vaccine didn't work.
there's still
We
that
already,
still exists.
yes, we already knew there was risk to it, and you're putting that on CNN and you're putting that ad all over TV. It's like that was the straw where I was just like, oh, it's like that.
Yeah,
Like we would have never, like the government would have never done that to kids, to kids. Like we would have done that to adults. We
you'd
have done
hope,
it to
yeah, like,
adults, but we would have never done that to kids.
yeah, it's in our case still kind of like fighting to get the COVID shot off the childhood vaccine schedule. They're still
Crazy that it
pushing it for
is.
pregnant women and stuff,
Yeah,
and it's like it's literally
insane.
crazy. But hydroxychloroquine is where we left off before
Yep.
pee break. So 2 months before COVID, they make it not OTC.
Yeah.
Trump comes out and says hydroxychloroquine works as a treatment. So that's when what you were saying with the shit studies. They
Yeah.
basically made all these studies where they overdose people.
Yeah.
They didn't follow any protocols with it, and then they say that it's bad, and like Trump is like a crazy person for recommending it,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know
I didn't know that either.
that it was like hydroxychloroquine was an existing thing that's been around for so long. It was completely considered safe.
Yeah.
So then the reason is that HCQ's patent expired.
Yeah.
So obviously we know from so many different books is that now it's become super cheap. Anyone can make it. Pharmaceutical companies can't profit at all from it.
Yeah.
Um, so Bill Gates himself funded censorship of hydroxychloroquine. Um, he said Gilead's remdesivir much better. What he
Yeah.
didn't say was that he has a financial stake in
Remdesivir. Yeah.
Gilead, who produces remdesivir. Um, so in countries where HCQ was not banned, COVID's death rate was
Oh,
less
I
than the
know.
common
Yeah.
cold.
Insane.
So
Yeah.
again, I don't know if any of that is true or not. Whatever, it seems pretty glaring, but clearly there was an effort here that's something that might have treated COVID in real time to squash it. And then,
And I will say that, like, a bunch of people that had read this book, most of the people from Florida that were just like crazy anti-vaxxers and kind of were like, you have to read this book, you have to read this book. And like, why are they not? Why is Fauci not suing? Why is Bill Gates
mhm,
not suing? And like all this stuff. It's like, I I went into this book like thinking these crazy anti-vaxxers from Florida were just like over the top with like you have to read this book, you have to read this book, and especially like with us having already done a bunch of vaccine books and kind of knowing how much of a scam it is and knowing that the trials that there's never been a true vaccine trial for safety. Like I kind of thought that I was going to go into this book not being shocked,
mhm.
but it's a pretty shocking book.
It found ways to shock, and like
Yeah,
again, so the next was like ivermectin, and it kind of continued on like in real time during COVID, this is all real time. There was never any conversation about how to treat COVID.
no.
If you had COVID, what do you do? Do you treat it? Do you,
Because then they couldn't get the approvals for the like to rush the
it,
vaccine studies without human trials
exactly,
and all
because
this
it's
stuff.
essentially, and it kind of all leads to that, where
Yeah,
if there was a good treatment, then you couldn't get the emergency use authorization for the
yeah,
vaccine, where it gets paid for and everything with the
yeah.
government. So then ivermectin is similar to hydroxychloroquine, but this one was like a lot more famous, where it was
The horse,
the horse
dewormer.
dewormer and
Yeah,
stuff. Where like so ivermectin is a drug, some type of antiviral or whatever that's been around for decades.
Yeah.
It won a Nobel Prize. It's been prescribed like
For
a
like
billion
river.
times.
Yeah, for like people in Africa that get like river blindness or
Yeah,
something.
like
It's like the number one
it's
treatment.
known to slow down viral replication, which sounds like that would be a good thing for COVID.
Yeah.
Um, I took ivermectin actually at one point
Did you?
during COVID. Yeah. Maybe it helped. I don't know. Um, India, another, when they're not getting screwed with polio doses. So supposedly they squashed COVID
Yeah.
with ivermectin. They only had a 5% vaccination rate.
Wow.
And so
And
again,
they also are like a third world country,
right. So
so
the fact that a country like India can have better health outcomes for COVID
yeah.
than the United States of America
Yeah.
is insane. And the fact that we can't step back and think of why that might be the case and think about it like logically and rationally is insane. People be like, oh, the vaccine was good. It actually did all
Yeah.
this stuff. And it's like, I don't know, but like, what about India that didn't have vaccines?
Again, it's like where are you
Right?
gonna
Like they were fine.
where are you gonna see that though? It's not gonna be on CNN. It's
That's
not gonna be on
there's
NBC.
no forum
It's
for
not
it.
gonna be on ESPN. Like the voice across the networks is like getting really disturbing. When ESPN, which is supposed to be a sports network, all they were talking about was freaking Kyrie Irving and Alex and
Rogers and
Rogers
Djokovic. Yeah.
every single day. Like it was just like, guys, like I'm purposely not watching CNN right now to not have to hear about COVID. Like I just want to hear about
Right, and
like,
you're talking about
yeah,
it.
and it's like all you're talking about is the vaccine, and it's just like who, yeah, like who is pulling these strings? Like it felt like such a conspiracy that
Yeah.
it's just like what a joke.
So then the whole media got behind this weird campaign of how bad ivermectin is as a
Yeah.
thing, even though it was had such a long history of like being safe and um like almost no side effects and winning a Nobel Prize where, YouTube, if you put a YouTube video up and you were an esteemed doctor like Pierre Corey, you
Oh,
have
I
like
know. Pulled
XYZ
it down.
credentials
Yeah,
and they take it down. So like the fact that you're in a world where a social media company
I know.
is seeing two videos, one's why ivermectin is good, one's
Yeah,
why ivermectin is bad, and picks one to
yeah,
take down without knowing themselves what is right because they're being told what to do,
yeah.
is super, super scary.
And that never really made sense to me until you find out the Bill Gates investment thing at the end.
Exactly.
That
That's how it's happening.
Bill Gates had joint investments in Facebook, in Google, in a lot of these tech companies, and then they had joint investments in a lot of the vaccine companies that he
Circle.
was pushing. So
Yep.
it's like they both had a vested interest in the vaccine and profiting and all that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, but again, it's like where's the punishment? Where's the punishment for Facebook taking down things
Right.
that are
Like Zuckerberg puts on a gold
the
chain
lab leak
and
theory?
starts surfing and goes on Rogan and
Yes.
says like, "Oh, that was our bad," but like
And
we're not gonna do it
and
anymore.
kind
And
of
like and now he's like a cool
blames
guy.
it on Biden. It's like
Yeah,
Biden's
took
gone.
no
Biden's, yeah,
responsibility.
like he's already out and he's
It was like
literally
the one
gonna
of the
be
other
dead soon.
weirdest things I've ever heard was that Zuckerberg thing.
That was one of the weirder Joe Rogans ever.
It's like
Yeah.
absurd. Do you remember the transcripts that they read through? It was like the Dr. Hill,
Yeah, I have that
and
open.
he was like,
I'm in a difficult position.
right. So one doctor is essentially saying they released his
The
transcript.
Cochrane studies. So like the Cochrane studies are like one of the probably few decent scientific funded things that are actually out there where they actually try to do real science instead of just like profiting money. And they like highlighted the problem and then they went to like Dr. Hale and she kept like this email chain going back and forth of like, do you want to be a part of our studies on COVID? And he was like, no, I'm in a weird position. And then she kept pressing him and being like, look, these vaccines aren't working. And he literally just kept going like, I'm in a difficult position. And she said, like, is the funding that you're getting from the NIH, like, you know, essentially making it impossible for you to speak out against this? And he was just like, I can't say,
And
you know.
she was like millions of lives are on the line.
I
You need a
know.
quicker decision here.
Yeah,
Like you have the chance to save like millions of lives. You have like financial situation here
yeah,
or whatever. And he was like, I'm in a difficult position. Like he
yeah.
wouldn't like admit it or deny it. And it's like,
Which is
so
pretty
how's
much
that guy not in
admitting
trouble?
it. I know.
Like you, God.
None of them. And
Um,
like Fauci got pre-pardoned, which after reading this book actually makes a lot of sense.
oh,
Like
for sure.
I kind of was like, when he got pre-pardoned, I was kind of like, why would they have to pre-pardon him? Like, is stuff gonna come out? And it was just kind of like, it actually already came out. It was in the Fauci. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then like it keeps going. Merck, so the company Merck invented ivermectin.
Yeah.
They for 49 years they marketed it, never once said anything bad about any negative effects about it, because that was their thing. One day they completely flipped tune and were saying the exact opposite because they had just released a new drug that does the exact same thing as ivermectin,
Yeah.
but now they have a patent on it and it sells for $700 a pop versus ivermectin,
Yeah.
which is essentially free.
13 cents. Yeah.
Pfizer did the exact same thing.
It's all, they're still doing it
The,
too. Like,
so the FDA is on board. The FDA wrote that tweet that was like, "You're not a horse. Don't take horse
yeah.
dewormer," or something like that, which is just like so disingenuous
Yeah.
and like clearly like they did the Oklahoma hospital thing.
Yes.
They put a picture of an
Got
Oklahoma
got
hospital.
shots.
Like,
Yeah.
these are people who are overdosing from ivermectin,
Yeah.
and it was like a stock photo from like the year before from people who had a gunshot wound or
And
something.
again, though, it shows you where the
Nope,
corruption is. That it
no
was,
consequences for
yeah,
that journalist who posted that thing. I think it was a Rolling
it
Stone or
was.
something.
And Rolling Stone used to. I think Rolling Stone, like, and he kind of mentioned this, and I think it's so true. It's like Rolling Stone used to be like counterculture,
Yeah,
where it'd be
yeah,
like they would be the magazine that would tell you the stuff that the mainstream media wouldn't. And then it's like probably a lot like Playboy and some of these things where it's like you just get past. Like you don't need a Rolling Stone anymore because you have the internet.
yeah.
You don't need a Playboy anymore because you have the internet. Like people can look up way worse things than a Playboy magazine in 30 seconds. And
Right.
it's just like you've now become literally useless. So it's like your only chance of surviving if you're Rolling Stone is essentially cutting a deal with mainstream
That's a
media.
good point.
And it's like that's so
Well, like,
clearly exactly what
how do
happened.
you sleep at night if you post that knowing it's so
Again, I know.
disingenuous? And how do you should be like that person whoever did should just be like ashamed of themselves, and
Yeah.
because like you have no self, again with Sanjay, you have no self-respect. You can't
No.
stand up for anything at a
No.
certain point. And then the last thing on ivermectin I had was,
And not get called out again though. Like
and no one ever get.
I
Sorry.
wish that like Joe Rogan could get on to back on the show. Like he should have to go back on the
Oh,
show
agree.
and now defend the things that he said.
Right, be like, yeah, well, yeah.
Yes.
Talk about it to me
Yes.
about that
Here's
for
what you
three
said
hours.
last time. Like I want you to explain why you were wrong or how you were wrong or
Right, or what
who
you think
told
about it
you
now,
this.
what
Yeah.
was happening.
Like you should have to
That
go
that
back and
needs to
justify
that'd
that.
be so good. And then they take it to another level where they start to say like horses are gonna get sick because they don't have the dewormer they need because idiots are chugging it, which is like it's just a different level of manipulation
Yeah.
and stuff. And then so the whole point,
And these are the people you're supposed to be listening to. Like these are the people you're supposed to trust.
right, which is it's like the
And they're
FDA.
doing
It's the
this.
literal FDA,
Yes.
so like
Yeah.
you trust them. So the whole point of all of that, like let's sham on ivermectin, let's shit on hydroxychloroquine is because remdesivir.
Yeah.
So remdesivir, and I didn't know any of this, which is cool. Um, so in remdesivir kind of becomes like Fauci's golden ticket,
Yeah.
where he's invested in companies that are in the company. If I think I might have written down somewhere that is producing remdesivir. It has a patent on it. It's super expensive, and now he essentially starts acting in a way that is going to make remdesivir the drug for COVID.
Yeah.
So January 2020, he's we have some visitors. Hi. Oh, hello. You're in your cute pink outfit, which means you probably pooped on your last outfit.
She did.
There's some crying.
I was cutting onions and grab her.
Uh,
So I was like, what is my onion? And then she literally tore apart her
I
entire
know.
plaything. It was like literally the whole.
Well, let's see the I told you about the cord.
Mayhem came down.
Yeah.
Bring in the
Fortunately,
girls.
there's probably no one left at the 2 hour, 13-minute mark.
Lucky.
Hi.
You're okay with your
Well,
battery now?
I cut the sweet potatoes and the onions. Do you want me to put chicken in?
What are you making? That sounds good.
Right? Do you want some? Have some. We have way too much for us.
I had sweet potatoes last night.
It's
They're
good
so
that we're
good.
having
So
this
good.
conversation
Yeah.
live here. 'Cause yesterday I spent a lot of time like marinating chicken thighs, and I told Amy I was doing it, and then like a
Maybe
few
a
hours later, while they were
milkshake.
marinating, she ordered food. I was
Just
So it's
milkshake.
a sticking point
Milkshake and an
of
apple juice.
my
Those
life
are your
yesterday.
things. Should I put it in? Is there like a special thing you want me to do?
No, but
Just put the chicken on top?
yeah.
Does ChatGPT say anything?
It's just a chat.
Messenger. That is the future probably of ChatGPT. It's
We
like
just use it for recipes, but like,
uh,
they're 50-50 to be honest.
I've been using it for working out a little bit as well.
Because it can like give you a routine.
Just like something a little bit different.
I did it for. We talked about back stuff for a long time.
Hey,
I did it for
you
back.
on TV?
Um,
What?
bake uncovered for 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
Return to flip the vegetables, whatever. Return to oven. Bake 15 to 25 more
Okay, so
minutes.
we need like an hour. Like,
Um,
what was the oven set at?
400.
Okay. That's just low.
Just put it in 400 for
That's
40
right, yeah.
minutes and then check on it.
Oh,
Hopefully, maybe we're done in 40 minutes. Who knows? We will. All right. Remdesivir.
Yeah.
This. No, you're good. This was what Fauci was kind of setting up for his golden ticket thing. So basically, January comes around 2020. He says hospital patients with COVID will participate in clinical trials for remdesivir. January 2020, at that time he said that, there's only 14 confirmed cases in the United States. So the fact that he has this plan of like, oh, we're going to use this drug as clinical trial for makes no sense.
Well, that was very late in the book too, right? With talking about like the what do you call them? The top off trials.
That was different, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was listening to that one today. Um, so he greenlights remdesivir without any placebo-controlled trials, but at the same time is demanding that ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine get placebo-controlled trials for COVID,
Yeah.
even though they're already like proven safe for so long. Then he comes out to the White House. This is kind of part of his playbook where he goes to the White House or somewhere super important, and he makes this big claim without giving any like backup studies or data around it, and he
Yeah.
says that remdesivir is going to be the standard of care for COVID. And essentially, why that's important is because once it's deemed the standard of care, insurance companies now can't legally deny any claims for it.
Yeah.
And this is now a patented drug that has a super high price tag, and now is guaranteeing that everyone who takes it has an insurance guarantee that they're going to pay for it.
Oh yeah, the
And
money's crazy.
it's literally it's rigging the system against it.
Like whether it works or not doesn't even matter at that point.
Yeah.
And especially if it doesn't work, then he has the vaccine
Yeah.
in his back pocket.
So with remdesivir, it was actually proven to not work because he did a trial. It was originally made for Ebola.
Yeah.
30% of people in his 2019 Ebola trial got kidney failure.
Yeah.
And it was known that and then COVID patients started having kidney failure, but it was known that COVID doesn't affect your kidneys because of the way like you pee out the spike protein or something, which I didn't
Yeah.
understand. So it was like very clear that like this was a not safe thing that was getting pushed on people when there were maybe safe things that may have worked.
But that was the myocarditis during
Mhm.
COVID too. That they were like, well, yeah, the vaccine can cause it, but also so can COVID. And it's just like, okay,
It's like,
okay,
and it goes that ties exactly into like so the next step is on vaccines.
yeah,
So you have the treatments, potential treatments. You have a very coordinated effort to squash some and prop up others.
yeah.
It maybe is a coincidence that the ones that financially benefit those people are the ones that get propped up, and the ones that don't financially benefit those people are the ones that get squashed. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe they're rigging the system in their favor to make a lot of money and keep
Yeah.
power. I'm not here to make that judgment.
Yeah.
I think people can think about it for themselves.
Yeah.
Um, so you get the vaccine stuff, and it gets into like all this shady behavior and manipulation of people and statistics to try to get the message across for the vaccines. So we talked about how they flip-flopped on the vaccine completely. Then they talked about how it's virus stops with you. You're not gonna get COVID. You're not
Yeah.
gonna ship COVID. But how their backup for that is so shady that it's almost laughable. Where they say this vaccine is 100% effective,
I know.
and this is like a big RFK stat that he doesn't put out. But so in the study they did 22,000 people in one group in the vaccine group, 22,000 people in the non-vaccine group. In the vaccine group, one person died. In the non-vaccine group, two people died. So they call that 100% effective
Yeah.
COVID vaccine. And so that's already disingenuous. That's already lying and manipulation, in my opinion.
Oh, totally. And it's also like the difference between one or two people in a study that small is that's no difference at all.
It's no difference at all.
Yeah.
And they also did not say the fact that there were 5 times as many deaths in the vaccine group than there were in the non-vaccine group.
Yeah.
Not related.
Eventually. Yeah.
Seems super serious about that. Has Adriana watched Heated Rivalry?
What is
Oh,
that?
It's
yeah.
a hockey show.
I don't know, but I can certainly follow up.
100%.
I know she's
It's like the
continuing,
smut books, but in a TV series.
she's been
Well,
continuing to read.
I
Like her newest book is a smut book, and she showed me the title and like the cover, and it's like two monsters,
Like that.
both lesbians, one Jack lesbian, one less Jack
That's
lesbian.
basically this, but in men. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah.
Alright, report back. You
I will.
sure?
I'll
Are you
find
sure?
out.
have to use all the strength of my body to not go on a tangent about that show. We'll save it for another time.
Yeah,
So, just a few other things, and by a few I mean a million. They so we had the one in 20,000 and two in 20,000.
yeah.
5 times as many deaths though in the vaccinated group. Then the trials I think were supposed to be 3 years. They ended the trials after 6 months, and they vaccinated everybody in the control group. And that way,
You can never
there's no way
tell.
of ever knowing,
Yeah,
and that's like very
what would
purposely
happen after
done.
that? Yeah,
Um, they knew vaccines would cause asymptomatic carriers,
yeah,
but they lied about it. Um, they knew it would not prevent transmission. They knew it would create like mutant viruses and different strains. So the way they take advantage of that is then they
like
say
new
boosters.
vaccines. Yeah,
Then you need boosters. So
yeah.
now all of a sudden you're guaranteeing 1 shot per person. Now it's 2 shots, 3 shots. So you're literally just creating revenue off of that. Um, I have more. Do you want me
Yeah, keep going.
to keep going? So similar to what we saw with other vaccines, the vaccine uptake, like only 10% of people had gotten vaccines at the time, and they
Yeah,
started to and COVID cases plummeted.
yeah,
And they touted the vaccines as the cure and the reason for that, even though only 10% of people had gotten it. And then there was the spike in cases and deaths right after the vaccine came.
yeah.
Um, so this is shady stuff. Today, they updated the definition of what it means to be fully vaccinated.
It's like two shots.
So now all of a sudden you need 2 shots, now you need 3 shots, now you need 4 shots. So then when they go to say 90% of deaths are in unvaccinated people,
Yeah,
they're including
people
people
with
with
one
1 shot,
shot or
two
two
shot,
shots.
3 shots, 4 shots. Who
Yeah,
knows what the real thing is? And on top of that, they're also including a time range from before the vaccine was invented.
yeah,
So we're saying from January 2020 to December 2020, this percentage of deaths are in unvaccinated people.
yeah,
But the first 6 months, 7 months, 8 months of that, there was no vaccine. So
yeah,
everyone was unvaccinated.
yeah.
So like they're using that to like completely change numbers on people.
It's the same way they run the trials. Like they're running
Yeah,
trials to get the results that they want to run, like they want to get, instead of running trials to actually get scientific data.
100%.
It's
It's
like
so disingenuous. It's
disturbing. Yeah,
so like swine flu had a vaccine, pulled after 25 reported deaths.
yeah,
COVID had 16,000 people in less than a year report deaths from it, 770,000 injuries in bears. And this is in the middle of 2021, so the vaccine hadn't been out that long.
yeah.
And we know only 1% at most of things are actually getting reported into bears.
I
So if
know.
you're reporting 16,000 deaths, it's way higher. And you're pulling one vaccine over 25 deaths, and you're not pulling another vaccine over
Yeah.
16,000 more.
And pretty much all the countries during COVID that had the highest vaccination numbers had the most deaths. So like they
100%.
talked about that with a few different vaccines that it it might be like whatever it's called where you like vaccinate someone for a vaccine and you with a vaccine and you end up increasing the amount of deaths because I guess their body's like already predisposed to it and then
We talk
can't
about
handle
that,
the
yeah.
wild version of or whatever.
Something that
But
was like something like priming. There's like a
yeah,
word for it.
yes, and it like happens a decent amount. But yeah, I mean, they don't talk about that with COVID, and it's like very clearly the case in a lot of examples where it's like kids were not dying. Like there was literally like zero cases of a kid dying from COVID. And then all of a sudden with the vaccine, all of a sudden kids started dying. And it's
Yeah.
just like,
There was one guy, I wish I looked this up. It was like a senator or a congressman from Connecticut, and
yeah,
he very knowingly like lied about a baby dying from COVID, and like to do that, you don't like you have to be such a low
I know.
person
Well, even
to
like,
make up or to use the death of a baby to like your own agenda
yeah,
and stuff like that.
I know.
It's again, it's like, come on, guy, like
Even
Sanjay Gupta, come on.
I know. And even like the Joe Rogan thing where it'd say like we couldn't Google like vaccine death.
Hmm.
Like you couldn't Google vaccine death. You could not find a death from vaccines. And in this book, like he talks about,
He said that they tried to make it a felony to criticize Dr. Fauci during
yeah,
COVID. That's absurd.
absurd.
That's absurd.
And like the US apparently reported like 16,000 deaths to, I think you said that, to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
VARs following the COVID
Yep,
vaccine.
yep.
And like one guy said it could be as many as 150,000
Right.
vaccine related
Because you
deaths.
know that's understated.
Yeah.
And again, not even
And the guy that reported
allowed to
that,
think or question it is
yes,
absurd.
I know.
Whether or not you end up being right or
And
wrong in the end.
and the guy that reported that was so confident they offered $1 million reward to find an error in his data.
That was my next thing.
Yeah,
Stephen Kirsch,
yeah,
shout out to him. I guess he put together some
hero.
yeah, some study that found COVID shot kills more people than it saves. And
Yeah,
he said, anyone that can disprove any of this, I'll give $1 million to. And
yeah.
clearly, someone probably would have if
And
there was.
again,
Like,
yeah,
obviously, I didn't see the study, but
not the news. Like it's just and like the news that I saw, just everything was a conspiracy. And
and there was the other guy. I just want to make sure I talk shit on was Paul Offit, and he's come up in so many of the other books and episodes that we've had.
yeah,
And he's one of these like vaccine guys that like sits on the board of things and then goes on TV all the time and says how good vaccines are, and like him and Scott Gottlieb.
what was his name?
Paul Offit.
Okay,
So
there's
he,
there's another guy, Peter Hotez,
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
calls in
He's
the
same group of
The
people.
RFK calls him Bill Gates' paid mouthpiece, which I
Yeah,
thought was hilarious.
same thing. Like this guy's very similar, where I think he even talked about in this book, but other books where he was on the board of whatever that approves vaccines. They approved some rotavirus vaccine to get it on the schedule. Meanwhile, it was super unsafe.
Yeah.
But once you get it on the schedule, it's on. So then his company was creating his own rotavirus vaccine. So he got this really crappy vaccine onto the schedule.
Yeah.
It caused a deception in a million people. It got pulled, and then they replaced it with his own vaccine. So he
Okay.
literally pulled like this weird bait and switch,
Yeah.
and that like just really, I like remember that very well.
It seems to be like too normal with this though, that it's like,
And he's rich. He goes on TV every day. No one's
yeah,
like, "Hey, dude, you've killed millions of people." It's
yeah,
not just like, "Hey, you're a serial killer." Ted Bundy, I don't know, Ted Bundy killed like 20 people or
yeah.
something like that. These people are killing millions of
I
people,
know.
and it's just like totally cool.
I know.
It's really weird.
We are like, and yeah, I think we're in a really weird society and we don't even realize it. It's like
Right.
we also like look back on these like ancient generations, and we're just like, oh, like they're so weird. They would do like public hangings and all this stuff
Yeah.
that were just like, the Aztecs or the this group or the that group, and we just like look back on them and think that they were very strange.
Right.
Like the Romans with the gladiator pits, like, oh, we would never do something so depraved. And it's like we're doing our own shit that's
It's
probably people are gonna look back
We've
on and
gotten
just be like,
better at like hiding it.
yes,
Yeah.
like people are gonna. You just got like they just didn't have a PR company. It's like Bill Gates. Like Bill Gates spends more in
Hmm.
PR companies than almost like anything else. And it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it makes sense. Like nobody ever says anything bad about him on TV. No one ever questioned him during COVID. Everything gets squashed.
There
Like
was
you'll
a
hear a
weird like
story.
article of him in the Times where he's like on like a
Yes.
horse or something, and he's our general's gonna like fight us into war against
Yeah.
like the pandemics, or like I think it was even before
And I
COVID.
know
It's
like
like
Joe
what?
Rogan or someone has had something with talking about how he has like a weird thing with his wife too, that like once a year he's allowed to like have an affair with some girl from college.
Really?
Yeah, like he
Ugh.
has weird stories and it's like he should be
Mm,
talked about a lot and he's
yeah,
not talked
he's
about
not.
almost at all.
Um, so
Divorced on
maybe one COVID. that's most of what I had on COVID, and we'll come back to it probably because I think the end it kind of circles back.
AZT.
But yeah, should we go to AIDS?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost out of breath from
Yeah.
COVID, and it's
We're
like
gonna
we
have
haven't
to
even talked about AIDS yet.
speed
And
through it a bit.
we
This some of
can't
this
like,
was kind of known a little bit about
but
AZT costing like 10K, and
yeah, it's like
people have reported
it's
on
the
that.
AIDS stuff is less clear to me because I don't know it as well.
No.
Like I struggle. So HIV is a virus.
Yeah.
You get it,
From sex or intravenous drug use.
okay, and then AIDS is some symptoms that come from that virus
Yes, is
sometimes,
what
and
develops
it
when you're
so
immunocompromised,
that
which all these
for
people
okay,
were. So it's almost like you get an STD, right?
yep,
But like you're also a drug user and your immune system's absolutely fried. Kind of like, better example, you get polio, right?
nice. Now
And
you're talking my language.
you've been eating DVT vegetables all day.
Yeah,
So now all of a sudden it's like your fucking immune system and like your stomach lining, all that's fried. So now all of a sudden polio, instead of it being in your stomach and then you shit it out in diarrhea and then you're totally fine,
yeah,
instead now it's in your spine. And now all of a sudden it's in your bloodstream. And
yeah.
now all of a sudden you're paralyzed and you now have polio.
That I get.
Yes. So it's kind of
Okay,
the same thing with this. Like you can have HIV, the virus, and be like totally fine, symptom free for like years, as long as your immune system is decent.
okay. So basically, the point of why this isn't even in the book is because this is when Fauci was kind of getting his start in the late 80s,
Yeah.
early 90s, and there's a lot of parallels between what happened here and with COVID and RFK. He kind of takes a stance of like, I don't know necessarily what the right answer is, but these are some weird. Like he kind of just is pointing out like
Yeah.
some weirdness that's going on with AIDS and HIV.
And there's this guy that invented AZT, which like not for AIDS, just as a different thing. And it was so goddamn toxic
It was
that
a
it was,
chemo drug.
yeah, but it was like killing everything. Like it was
It kills
killing
your
mice
DNA.
and killing DNA like
Yeah,
immediately.
and you couldn't be
So
on for like more than 2 weeks.
yeah, so like the guy that invented it was like, this isn't even worth a patent. So he didn't even patent it. So like he invented it and was just like, this is literal garbage. I might as well give someone like straight poison and be like, oh yeah, this poison also kills
Sure.
some cells. And then it's just like, so he literally didn't even patent it. So then all of a sudden, Fauci and one of his PIs realized that AZT actually destroys the virus in test tubes.
Hmm.
So then all of a sudden it becomes, oh, that's really interesting. So we can actually get rid of this virus with AZT. But meanwhile, it's like you're overlooking the fact that it was like too toxic that the guy that invented it didn't even like see it as any sort of therapeutic benefit whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he's giving it to these people with AIDS, really HIV, and then they're dying because it's again doing that same thing as like DDT, which is like it's absolutely crucifying your immune system and it's
Yeah.
weakening your body. It's like you're poisoning yourself when you already have this virus in your system.
So exactly. So it sounded like the mainstream story of AIDS is HIV is a virus, causes AIDS.
Yeah.
That's bad. AZT is a drug that fixed it, and that's the story. And RFK is saying, well, that all doesn't really add up, and here's the reasons why. And I did appreciate that he was kind of like, I don't know the answer to all of this stuff, but it's at least worth looking into, and no one's
Yeah.
allowed to look into it. So basically, there was Peter Duesberg, and he has a book called Inventing the AIDS Virus, which is actually on our list. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll learn more there. But he was like, essentially, like HIV does not cause AIDS. And that is like a huge, I guess that's a hugely controversial thing to say. Like you're
Yeah.
not allowed to say HIV doesn't cause AIDS.
Yeah.
I don't know even know why. But AZT is the thing that's actually killing the immune systems and all these
Yeah.
people that are getting it. Um,
It's almost like putting someone that's incredibly sick on like chemotherapy for not even like two
undetermined amount of
weeks.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like people would be on this drug until they
Yeah.
die.
So basically, it sounded like they actually never proved that HIV causes AIDS and that you can have HIV without AIDS, and you can have AIDS without HIV.
Yeah,
So I don't even know. Like it's weird to me that you couldn't even ask a question about that, and or else
yeah,
you're like a so this and the whole thing with AIDS too that he was kind of saying was like this was Fauci's first time using like the political correctness thing
yeah,
into his like pharmaceutical campaigns. So which I didn't even fully understand of like how because the whole AIDS thing was like a conversation about like gay people in the 80s and 90s and like
yeah.
their lifestyles and things. And I still didn't even fully understand all of it, but
It does sound like the drug use, and again, I guess this makes sense to some degree, where it's like you have this virus, HIV, and then it's like you have this virus and you're also staying up all night. You're
doing these
taking
drugs, the
poppers.
poppers,
Yes,
yeah,
like you're doing these drugs that are like horrible for your immune system. And it's like if you're doing that, your HIV is going to turn into full-blown AIDS, where like your immune system, I guess, starts like attacking itself and you end up dying, whatever AIDS does to kill you.
yeah,
But if you just stop doing drugs and you just like treat the virus and like take some antivirals and live a somewhat normal healthy lifestyle, like you're not gonna die. Hashtag Magic Johnson.
right. And there's so many parallels between that and COVID where I think in AIDS, Fauci said all the people with HIV are going to be dead in 2 years.
Yeah,
Then they weren't. Then he said it'll be 4 years. Then they weren't dead. It'll be 8 years, and then they
yeah,
weren't dead. And then they were giving AZT to perfectly healthy people that just happened to
yes,
test positive for HIV. And then those people would end up dead in
yeah.
2 years or 4 years, whereas they were perfectly fine
And I think that's
beforehand.
common with a lot of like sexually transmitted diseases, which is like a lot of people like are carriers for I
It's like
think
almost sounds
like
like herpes, where
yeah,
it's
like
like dormant
HPV, yeah.
or something.
Like I think I
Yeah,
saw somewhere where it was like I think they said like 70% of people carry like the herpes virus.
yeah. Wow.
Because isn't the herpes virus, I think it's the same thing as like,
I think it's cold sores, which a lot of
yeah,
people get.
but I also think it's like very, very similar, if not exactly the same to like chickenpox or one of those,
Yeah.
like measles or
So
one of
he
those.
got into a lot of the HIV too, where it's like HIV is a passenger virus that's like been around for like thousands of
Yeah,
generations. So like the fact that all viruses that are like pathogenic, they get into a host, they immediately just start replicating,
yeah.
going crazy, taking advantage of anything that they can. But HIV is like the one exception to that rule where it gets into you,
And it's just kind of
it
is
just
dormant.
chills and is dormant for years and years, and they don't know why all of a sudden it starts causing
Yeah,
problems, and no other virus behaves that way.
very
And
strange.
then the flip side of that is that the way that you test for HIV is you test for antibodies. So you have antibodies for HIV, you're HIV positive. But if for any other disease, if you have a lot of antibodies, then they would say you're protected against this disease.
Yeah,
So when they give you a vaccine, they're trying to give you antibodies for a vaccine. So essentially, if you follow that logic, a successful HIV vaccine is giving you AIDS
yeah,
because now it's giving you the antibodies, which is
yeah.
what causes a
The
positive AIDS
test,
test.
yeah.
So like again, like I don't know that much about this one, but like it seems weird. Like there's a lot of inconsistency there,
It does.
right? And the inconsistencies don't stop there because in the U.S., AIDS was gay men. That was like the main
Yeah, yeah,
part. Africa, it was straight women.
yeah,
So like, okay, why? Like no one can explain why that's the case. Um, they started to like do some weird bucketing of who has AIDS and who doesn't have AIDS. So like someone who's HIV positive and has tuberculosis has AIDS,
yeah,
but someone who's has tuberculosis and is not HIV positive has tuberculosis. So like the
yeah,
way they're bucketing these cases
yeah,
is sketchy. The way they define things by country is sketchy. They had they changed a rule where in the U.S. if you had a low T cell count, they said you had AIDS. So like the number of AIDS cases doubled overnight, but Canada didn't change the rules. So
yeah,
if you then moved from the U.S. to Canada, didn't have AIDS
yeah.
anymore. You cured your AIDS. Like so clearly, like this stuff just doesn't make sense. Like people
No.
just don't know, and they won't admit that they don't know.
And also, there was very much that thing where it's like it was a death sentence. Like people were shocked when Magic
Hmm.
Johnson was still alive after 2 years,
Right.
and then 4 years, and now all of a sudden, if you were like, "When's Magic Johnson gonna die?" People are just gonna be like, I don't know, like probably same as anyone else. Like,
Right. And yeah, and it's weird that people can't have that like that conversation. Like, I never
and
knew
he
that.
didn't say what he was doing.
Yeah,
Like South Park made fun of it
you're
in the
right.
thing with like the injecting 50K cash straight into the bloodstream, like essentially implying that because he was rich, that he wasn't gonna die from AIDS. And it's kind of just like it turns out it's I don't think has anything to do with him being rich. I almost feel like it has more to do with him not doing anything about his AIDS.
Because that's I think that was the argument here was like there were
Yeah.
healthy people that were fine that ended up taking AZT and then not being healthy,
Yeah.
and that
Like
is
I
bad.
don't know what he maybe he just takes like a daily antiviral to keep like the overall load that he has, I guess a little
Right.
bit lower, but
And then it goes back to Fauci and the funding because the whole so it's all basically became where you cannot say HIV does not cause AIDS because that makes you like homophobic or something. Like
yeah.
I couldn't even follow that. But essentially, he had to keep that relationship where HIV causes AIDS because now AIDS is a thing that's caused by a virus
Yeah.
that falls under the NIH.
Yeah, I
That's
saw that.
or not
Yeah.
the NIH, the NIAID,
Yeah.
National Institute of Allergens and Infectious
Yeah.
Diseases. And now he gets that funding because
Yeah.
before when it first came out, it was like who gets the
I
funding for
remember
this? Was it
hearing that
National
too. Yeah, they
NCI?
were
I
like
think it was
fighting over it
National
for like
Cancer Institute,
yeah.
and that's kind of his way that he's taken power, where he's and again, who knows if that's right or not,
And he
but like,
keeps going they said he keeps going back to AIDS that it's like he's failed for 40 years now
yeah,
and he's still coming out and being like we're gonna have a vaccine for AIDS soon.
over and over again.
Yeah.
And again, this Peter Duesberg guy who was like, I forget it, like super credential, super respected. They said he never had a paper like rejected in his career for like peer review in before 1987. Then he comes out and he says HIV doesn't cause AIDS, and he now since then he never had a grant ever accepted again,
Yeah.
which is like, or maybe that's a coincidence, but like probably not.
No.
And he was a guy who was kind of saying like, hey, recreational drug use poppers, this lifestyle is what's causing this immune system problem in the
Yeah.
gay population.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what the Fauci like propaganda probably was like, hey, you're just homophobic because
Yeah.
you're hating on their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like maybe the gay people and other people who are doing that just were dying because they
Yeah.
were like partying too hard or whatever they were doing. Um,
No, and again, it goes to like the Fauci being a politician. It's like he's uniquely, I guess, good at being a politician. I mean, that's what it being a politician is. He was good during COVID. I mean, he gets on TV and he's well spoken and he's confident and he's saying these things that it's like people aren't really questioning. He doesn't sound like an idiot. He doesn't sound like
no, that was his whole a lot of what he
yeah,
talked
like
about.
he even like Trump, gets on TV and it's just like he doesn't sound like he totally knows what he's talking about 90% of the time. And it's like people give him a hard time about like the disinfectants, injected straight into the bloodstream. And it's
Yeah,
just like that's how he sounds all the time. Like he just kind of gets on TV, doesn't have a speech, and he's just kind
he
of
just
like,
kind of talks.
yeah,
It's
what
less
about
buttoned up.
this?
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's like I actually respect that almost more
Oh, for sure.
than someone that like literally is just reading from a teleprompter.
Knowingly lying,
Yes,
for their own
yeah,
personal
exactly.
benefit and killing people. Then last thing I had on AIDS, I think maybe a few other points, but um, they again for the numbers, they said any death was an AIDS death if the person was found to be HIV positive, including suicides, car accidents,
Yeah,
like that same thing happened in COVID.
it did.
So like there's clearly a playbook here that was kind of going around,
The
and
the testing in Africa was crazy too, like with the AIDS vaccines, the
yeah,
AZT.
should we get into Africa?
Yeah, because that it started with the AZT and the AIDS testing in Africa, and then they come back to it later.
Yep.
Um,
So basically using Africa as their way of doing clinical trials without
yeah,
anyone's consent.
yeah,
And so I feel like they're doing that and they're doing, hey, this other drug or vaccine was not FDA approved or was pulled for some reason, but we made it all and
yeah.
we have a little stockpile.
Repurpose
We're
it.
gonna repurpose it
Yeah,
and bring it to Africa and
yeah.
do it
We'll find
and
out what it treats.
right and
We'll
have
just give
just
it to 100,000 Africans, and we'll see. Like,
terrible effects.
yeah,
So they're doing experiments like that in Africa and in the US where the other Tuskegee experiments,
yeah,
where those are pretty famous, but I didn't know it was like about syphilis. And
yeah,
they're trying to find out why syphilis was like so deadly. and then they found out that it was the mercury drug they were giving to people with syphilis is why it was so deadly.
Yeah.
But they were like withholding treatment for I think like black people in the South for like 40 straight years.
Yeah.
And like that is like a known fact now. It's not like a conspiracy
I
theory. Like
know.
that's and everyone's just like still cool.
I
Everyone's
know.
like, yeah, like for 40 years they
Yeah.
withheld treatment from a group of people.
And it
And
wasn't that long ago.
it
And then
wasn't
it
that long
just,
ago. And now they're wondering why, like, because black people were
yeah,
super
vaccine
hesitant
hesitant.
on
Yeah.
COVID,
I
and
know.
Fauci made a quote that was like, the COVID vaccine was invented by an African American woman,
Yeah.
and that is a fact. Like, who
I
cares? What
know.
do you mean? Like, you have been proven to do these types of things, like the Tuskegee
And
experiments.
that
We're supposed to trust you?
they really went into it the old, and it really does put it in perspective where it's just like I'll probably end up dying from not taking the next vaccine on the next
I
thing.
know that's happened to me.
Me too.
But you,
But it's just like he goes into it where he talks about like the swine flu and then Zika
oh,
and then
break.
bird flu. Yeah, and it was just like the bird flu ended up killing one
I,
person. And I
I know.
remember hearing about that when we were like kids.
You remember them? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and like parents were like afraid to go outside and they were talking about mosquitoes and it was in New Jersey. Like the one person that died was in New Jersey. It did happen to be a little girl who dug up her pet
So much
bird
fun.
that died. And it's just like that was the
Yeah.
one death, was a girl that dug up a
Dug
dead
up
pet
her
bird.
fake thing.
Yeah.
1976 swine flu. There was one case of a soldier who got it. They created a panic, said it was going to be worse than the 1918 Spanish flu.
Yeah.
1 million people are going to die. They gave a shot to 49 million people in the US with terrible side effects.
Yeah.
And again, when they're doing this, emergency use authorization, the government is paying for the
I
shots,
know.
which means that we are paying for the shots.
Yes.
Whenever they say the
I
government is paying for
know. I
something, this is going to
know.
be paid for by the government.
Yes.
That's just us. That's
Yeah.
you. That's
Yeah.
whoever. Like
And
the
it
government
all
doesn't pay for anything. We
I
are
know.
we are the revenue.
Yeah, I also thought of that while I was reading this because he mentioned that a couple times, and like we've talked about that a couple times, where it's like the debt's $1 trillion, and it's just like our taxes are so high, we're giving away like 50% of what we're making to the government to like do these things,
Yeah.
and yet we're still $1 trillion in debt, and it's just like wait a
Some
second,
would say 36 trillion.
yeah, and it's just kind of like wait a second, guys, if we can just go into $36 trillion worth of debt then why are you even collecting money at all? Just go into $100 trillion in debt,
Right. Let us
two
keep our
hundred
money
trillion
so I
dollars in
can go
debt.
to the grocery
Yeah,
store.
and then that'll actually stimulate the economy, and then you can keep pretending like
Right. You get
we have the
sales
best
tax and yeah,
economy, yeah, in the world.
it'll keep going.
Yeah,
Again, swine flu. You said bird flu. Um, and it was like a lot of this was like the same guy who's like predicting these models of like all this stuff. Mad cow disease. They
yeah,
said that 100,000 people are going to die in the UK. I remember mad cow disease. 2009, Hong Kong, there's another swine flu. They said 40% of Americans will get it. Millions are going to die. Pregnant people are more at risk. Um, and then, so that year they made this huge push to jab up pregnant people.
yeah,
There was an 11 times higher fetal death rate in 2009. Odds of a miscarriage were 7.7 times higher within 28 days of the jab, and it had to get pulled off the market. So it's just like
I know.
some very few people had it in Hong
And
Kong.
like you
Like
know how bad it has to be for them to pull these things off the market.
I remember Zika virus.
Yeah,
Everyone's freaking out about babies being born with tiny heads.
yeah.
Um, they
My
knew that the Zika virus doesn't cause that symptom, which I didn't
yeah,
know. And then they also mentioned that it was very heavily DTP vaccine heavy region, where they were
yeah,
using that one that's been pulled here
yeah,
in Brazil. Um, but the peak of Zika was 5,000 cases with 0 cases of microcephaly, which is the tiny head thing.
yeah.
So, like, again, drum up fear,
I
get
know.
everyone riled up and scared, willing to do anything, whether
Yeah,
it's your back pain or
I
a
know.
pandemic coming, and then guarantee yourself profit.
Yeah.
It's like the playbook.
And the Bill Gates thing with the money, where if you just, it's always been the case. If you follow the money, you get the full story. Bill Gates has given away $54.8 billion. $54.8 billion. So it's like he is the
But you
most,
could actually
by
give it that.
every metric, like he is the most philanthropic person
Yeah.
that's ever existed. But he has turned that $54.6 billion and he's actually increased his wealth from 62 billion to 138 billion.
Yep. Yep.
Because when you give away 54.8 billion to organizations like the WHO and the NIH, and then you invest and you're giving it to big farm
Yep.
and all this stuff and you invest it. It's like now all of a sudden he essentially did by giving away that money was give himself a monopoly because now he has complete say over the CDC and the WHO and Fauci, and then he also now has complete say on the pharmaceuticals as well. So it's like the regulators he's donating to, and then he's investing in the
Yep.
companies that then are supposed to be regulating the places that he's investing.
Yeah. You're investing in the vaccine companies, then you
Yes.
go on TV all day and saying that you need to vaccinate 7 billion people to get us out of the pandemic.
Yes, and donate $5 billion to the CDC to then tell us whether the vaccines are safe. It's just
Yeah.
like, of course they're safe. Like they're literally you're just calling Bill Gates and saying, "Are these safe?"
Yep. And then like he's doing what are we hearing up there?
It almost sounds like your wife is on like one of those like speaker things,
Like
and
she's
like
trying to talk to us from like
broadcasting.
a can with like a string or
Yes.
something. Um, yeah, and then a few other things I had. Gates was doing research to literally get vaccines in mosquitoes, so that way people could unknowingly essentially just be vaccinated like all the time and like bioengineer them in that way. Like, that's so scary. The fact that that is
I
actual
know.
research that
I
is
know. I
happening.
heard that too. Yeah.
Um, and some of the other research that they were doing, they were using kids in foster care to do
Yeah.
drug trials, and like BBC documentary called Guinea Pig Kids found like all the mass graves that they used.
And again, it's like it's gonna be the same
They
thing.
had flies eating puppies to death, and they
Yes,
were
beagles.
grafting
Yeah.
fetus scalps onto mice. Like, I mean,
And
again, it's endless.
it is, and
It's endless.
it's the same thing with like the Epstein documentary, and this is the same thing with this book, which is it makes a little bit of a stir. People are talking about it, nothing happens.
Nothing
I
happens.
thought Trump and RFK were gonna get in and just like start throwing people in jail left and right, and it's just
That's what
like
everyone hoped for.
yeah, and it's just like
Mm.
Fauci's pardon and probably still running the NIH,
Yeah, right. Like,
and it's just
I
like
think RFK, at least I'll say, is
there's been
ma-
no there
making slow strides in
just
terms of
removing a few vaccines though.
it's
It's
a,
slow.
agree. I
I want
again, what
people
I
in
want,
jail
I 100%
or
agree.
murdered,
I'm willing to take what I can get and be like,
Yeah,
hey, this is at least the first progress we've ever seen ever.
it
So I'll
is.
allow it, but I agree with you that like I wanted heads rolling. I
Yeah.
wanted people
With
like
the evidence that's out
publicly
there,
shamed
they
and
shouldn't be able to
known.
hide behind the
If it's
media
all
anymore.
true, like right, if
Yes.
it's all true what you're saying and all
Yes.
this stuff, it should be so easy to punish these people,
Yes.
and that's not happening.
You wrote a book on
Agree.
Fauci. You're now in a position of power,
Agree. No,
and
you're
Fauci's
a
still
hundred
working for the
percent right.
NIH.
100% right.
Let alone like, okay, you can't put him in
Hmm.
jail and we can't kill him. Kind of one.
Okay, well, Luigi, I'll have something to say
Luigi,
about
let
that.
him out.
Um,
But it's like you can't. It is what
again, it
it.
comes down to yeah, like what do you do?
Where's
Like
the media? Where's the media coverage? Where's the
it's crazy. Like, and you have to think like slowly but surely, like all
like
the stuff's
people should be
coming out, and
talking
people are
about
gonna
this Fauci.
know.
People should be talking about this Fauci book every day.
It should be all people are talking about until something happens,
Yeah.
and instead no one talks about it after
No.
like a week. Like
Yeah.
people lose interest in a week. Like, oh, Luigi Mangione shot a guy.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, let's have a debate about it. A week later, no
Nothing.
progress
Yeah.
and anything, and it's
Kirk gets
I think
murdered, and then you talk about it for a couple of weeks,
right, and
and
it's like Candace Owens is the only one trying to figure out who actually did it, and
yeah.
everyone calls her crazy, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, everyone's like, people are gonna start to go crazy because there's no solutions
No.
to anything
No.
ever,
I know.
and it gets me fired up.
Same.
It gets me very fired up. I can go on about this forever.
I actually can't believe Fauci, to be honest, is still alive.
And Biden, remember Biden? They were like, Biden has cancer.
That was
And
him.
they came out and said that like right after he lost, and then no one like ever thought about it again.
Totally fine.
It's like the weird, it's so weird. I'm like, just stop lying to everyone about everything, and like we can handle it.
I know.
Like we can handle the truth. Like
I did
I
think
don't know.
a little bit about the other side of it, right? The other side of it is a completely pacifist, nice, kind leadership running the USA. And it's like, how does that go? And it's like, it also may not go great. It also may lead to us being like the UK. which is like we were
Oh,
once on the top of the world, and now we're just like,
they like arrest people for memes now.
yes.
Oh, well, nothing's worse than that.
But it's also like you were number one. You were number one, guys. But now you're not number one because like
You're
you
not
didn't
even
have
number two.
you're not even number two. You didn't even have the ball like you didn't have the balls to do what needed to be done. Crush these Americans into submission, maybe bomb them, you know?
Yep,
Or maybe do what the CIA does, which is just like get these Americans, get George Washington fighting with Samuel Adams a little bit.
not that hard.
Yeah.
You go to the pub one night, they're all drunk. You say
Yeah.
this person's looking at you,
Talking shit about you.
talking
Yeah.
shit. You would
And
have
just
stopped the whole revolution in two
totally.
seconds.
Like they weren't mingling, you know? They weren't doing that stuff. They were just
No.
like, "Hey, we're giving you guys tea. Like we'd like a tax on it." And we're just like, "Fuck yeah."
But also, what happened to that from us, where someone tries to put a tax on a tea
True.
and we freak the F out, and
Yeah.
now it's just like,
Take this vaccine. It's
yeah.
killing all of you. And we were actually wrong. You didn't need it the whole time.
Right, where and nothing ever is gonna
Yeah.
happen. No one's gonna. You're not even allowed to say that we did
Yeah,
something
but
bad.
also like don't talk about it because we're tired of hearing you guys talk about
Right,
it.
it's over
Like
now.
anytime, like it's again, it's like anytime I hear Rogers talk about the vaccine, they're just like, "Oh, he's still talking about the
Right, and
vaccine."
so
It's like he's still talking.
right, like you.
Or like Epstein with Trump, where like did
Yeah, that
Trump say
was
that? Where he's like, "Oh, you guys are still
yeah,
asking about Epstein. You're
that hurt
still
him a
talking
lot.
about that." It's like, yeah, we're still talking
Yeah, you mean
about
the
it.
underground pedophile ring with the most powerful people in the
Yeah,
world are
might have been
trafficking
coerced.
underage
Yeah,
people to
well,
to
yeah.
the presidents of the United States?
And
Like, yeah,
now
we
it's like
want kind of want to know.
any policy or any world war like almost can't even
And
be
you
trusted
promised
now
that you would
because
release, and they said it was on the Pam Bondi's desk, and then she
yeah,
said, "I don't even know anymore."
yeah,
Like, yeah, should we rate this?
yeah,
Because I get so fired up and go on forever.
yeah. We're not even talking about books anymore. That's what's crazy.
I know we're just talking about life, talking about real stuff here. This is brass tacks.
Yeah, but
What do
yeah.
you got?
I think wrap it up. Looking at the notes here. A lot about the CIA and some of that too at the end, and
Yeah, that was all good stuff. Like they talked about like the simulations that they're running to like plan for pandemics,
yeah,
and which I don't even understand how that works. But like they're 5 years before COVID are like running through simulations of what happens during a pandemic, and we're gonna run out of masks this soon,
yeah.
and this is the point where people are gonna start doing this,
I
and this is
know.
how we do this, and somehow exactly matches COVID just
Yeah,
coincidentally.
like the
But
amount of deaths, all that was exactly the same.
yeah,
V for Vendetta came to mind.
yep, yep.
Really,
I have seen that movie.
I think the first time I watched that, I maybe didn't get it fully. Like I just thought
I
it was a good movie. I
I
didn't even
really
know like
liked
it
it,
was
but I
about.
probably didn't get it.
Yeah. And then I watched it a few more times, probably post COVID. I was like, wait a second. I get why people are obsessed with this. It's like a
Yeah.
metaphor for COVID.
I feel like these matching shirts just brought out extra fire in me. And
And
maybe
like
it's I mean, it's the topics too,
rightfully so.
but these are just they're too good.
Last note is so two things. One, the no liabilities law and thing that was passed reform is just completely ruined
Absurd.
because it's just like you can take these risks without the fear of being sued or going to jail, and it's like that's the only thing that keeps people in line.
You've no
The
incentive to make your product safe.
yes, think about what is the only thing that keeps people in line on a day-to-day basis. What's the only thing when some little moron cuts you off on the highway? What is the only thing that stops you from cutting him off on the side of the road and beating him to death?
Imagine if car manufacturers had no incentive to make their products safe.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't trust
Like,
car
why would they care?
companies.
Yeah.
Like there would be a
And it's
problem.
just like the only thing that stops us from just beating people to death on a daily basis when we get upset is like you don't want to spend 50 years in jail
Yeah,
and you don't want to be sued,
yeah.
And it's just
There's
like,
consequences for your actions.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like you take away that from pharmaceutical companies where it's like they can't get sued almost like unless it's like so egregious that it's like, and even then they're going to be sued like 40 million on a $2.1 billion
yep.
profit. So it's like they can't be sued. Then they also can't go to jail. When's the last pharmaceutical person that's like been to jail? Probably has never happened
Don't
before.
know.
So it's like those are the two things. Like you want to fix the problem, start making them liable for civil
Liable.
suits, and then start allowing them to be liable to go to jail for like when they really do something like the
Exactly.
Sackler
Give them
thing.
incentives to make safe products.
Yeah. And then the last thing is just conspiracy versus greed is I think the question of this book. He kind of leans on conspiracy. He floats it. Like he's kind of RFK is kind of just like Really gets a little conspiracy at the end.
Like the CIA stuff.
Yeah, the CIA stuff, the trials on COVID, that it was potentially released on purpose for them to profit. Like
Hmm.
that starts to get along a deeper level of conspiracy than just
Yeah.
straight negligence and greed.
Yeah, or it's just like purely opportunistic. Like if
Yes.
something happens, people are gonna be greedy,
Yeah.
whether or not like that started from a pre-planned thing or something that
Yes.
just happened.
Like
Like,
it's not like Amazon said, "Hey, let's all get together. Like we're the five biggest companies in the world, and not one of us is like a walk-in, purchase something and leave." Google, Facebook,
right, we gotta
Amazon.
close all the mom and pop shops, but
Yes,
we're gonna keep delivering stuff because
yes,
people need
yeah,
their gadgets
yes.
or
And like
whatever.
this virus is the perfect way to do it. Fauci told it. Like
Just coincidentally happened to help them all.
yes, like that would be a full level conspiracy versus negligence of like not making sure the lab was secured, denial because they don't want to get in
Mhm.
trouble, trying to
The
manage it and
cover-ups
just
make it
not
look
knowing what's going to
bad
happen. Yeah.
because Fauci like
Like
clearly
not knowing they're
lied.
going to make Amazon an extra $20 billion. Like
Yeah,
they just didn't see that
right.
happening. They just thought delivery was a better way than
Like
supermarkets.
he knew they were doing gain of function research there in Wuhan, where they said the virus originated from. They were
Yeah.
researching the same exact coronavirus that gets out, and he gaslights everyone or lies and says that it's definitely not that.
Yeah.
Like that's not helping his case, in
No,
any way.
no, it
So,
really is. Like that I think is like the discussion from this book is you read this book and you come out, one, just realizing that like Fauci is a monster, and then two, just Bill Gates is shithead, but then three, it's like, is there a greater conspiracy here than just greed and power? And that I'm not so sure about.
right. Like I think it all comes down to that, like control and power.
And really, the only way we would ever find out in this book club is if our hydrogen oxygen take is potentially groundbreaking science.
If we hit the head, it will be.
That could make us an absolute fortune, and then we promise we will get to the bottom of this.
Well, yeah, that's our first
Yeah.
stop.
Even if we have to kidnap Fauci and Bill Gates ourselves and get that done.
First guest or
Yeah,
second guest will be Fauci.
yeah.
All right, so we had 4.3 crooked. Do you want to give a rating? You want me to rate
Um,
Fauci?
I'll start here because you did the last one.
Okay.
I would say 4.65.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think very good.
Wait, that's. I wish I wrote this down because no one will ever believe me. But coming into this conversation, I was 4.6,
Yeah,
and my whole spiel was going to be this conversation bumped me up a little bit to a 4.65.
yeah,
Like I'm not even kidding. That was
yeah,
absurd.
and I do think that um
That's that's crazy.
we're on the same page.
That's the
I think,
shirts.
yeah, the
That's the
shirts. That's the
shirts.
shirts. Yeah, I do think that we the thing that makes me rate this as high as uh I would is that we'd already read like this is like our fifth vaccine
Yeah.
related book. And like this was not like when we read Dissolving Illusions, I thought like great information, great, like really good, well written. But it was also like she would say things where she would just be like, and you're not gonna believe this, like polio cases were going down, and I would just be like, I do
Repeat.
believe it because we
Yeah.
talk about it all the time. And then it'd just be like the things that were supposed to be like, like showstoppers, like weren't showstoppers. Then it kind of ruined the book.
Yeah.
But like this, I thought for a topic that I already knew a lot about COVID because we lived through it. A topic on vaccines and how corrupt the industry was. Like we already knew a lot about that and the
Yep.
donations from like that Pfizer will give like the CDC like a $2 million donation for
Absurd.
like their help in just
It's
stopping
like
polio.
Coca-Cola donates to the
Yes,
American Diabetes Association. It's
exactly.
like
Like it's
what?
utterly absurd. Like I knew how bad that was, but like I do feel like this book kind of put more things in perspective of just how corrupt it is and also how really like shitty of a person Fauci and Bill Gates might actually be.
Yeah. I mean, it was a total takedown.
Yeah.
If any of it is wrong, I'd love to hear from them.
Same.
And they haven't come out and said that.
I would love to
So,
see one of them on Joe Rogan and
right.
maybe a debate.
Just
Like,
any type of long form thing where it's
can we
not
get can we get
CNN,
one
you know, like
debate?
real thing.
Yeah, can we get one debate? Can we get Gupta back on Joe Rogan with like Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
Like, can we get that? Like, is that
How
too
does
much to ask for as a people? Like, I'm fine with you taking all my money and
right, like
yeah, and like
give me
poisoning
that.
our
No, I
children. Like
agree.
that, I just want that.
That is such a good point.
Yeah.
Um, all right, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we thought we might push it.
We knew this would be a long one.
Yeah, 3 hours though. I think it's right.
I think that's exactly where we need
Be
to be with
shocked if
it.
anyone's here, but if you still are, thank you.
Yeah.
Love appreciates it.
Thank you and God bless. We'll be posting this soon with the next few books probably in the description, so look out for that. And if
Yeah.
you read one of those, let us know and come join us.
Yeah.
All
Looking for that second guest.
right, we good?
Peace.
Bye everybody.